Chapter 13:21. Solipsistic's first battle had finally ended. The monster race's immortal domain was in a mess. However, they were not in the mood to care about that. Inside the glass room, everyone was silent for a long time. Challenging Sengoku as a human king. What's wrong with this kid? This is no longer a battle of a higher cultivation level. Did you guys notice that he seems to have 4 life reversing divine demon set? Each life reversing divine demon set is extremely difficult to obtain. I wonder how he managed to collect all 4 of them. Don't talk about the life reversing divine demon set. Did you see his 10 wings? Even celestial sovereigns don't have such amount. He, a human king, actually has 1. I didn't expect such a person to appear in the human race. Luckily, he hasn't matured yet. Otherwise, he would definitely be an important opponent in the War of the 10,000 Races 5 years later. 5 years. This person really hasn't matured yet. There were too many discussions behind him. However, Lu Chen did not care about them. He was already on his way to the next stop. Actually, Lu Chen's victory in the monster race's immortal arena had already proved that he had the ability to complete the 20 battles of the Supreme Death God Order. He only needed to choose some weaker races. However, Lu Chen went straight to one of the strongest races, the God Descendant race. "Dad, why didn't you let us fight?" Little Beast sat beside Lu Chen. "It's not time for you guys to fight yet," Lu Chen said. "I suspect that Qianji already knows my whereabouts. He might have purposely gone to the Qianji immortal domain to lure me there. However, I don't think he's really in the God Descendant race's immortal domain right now. This guy is sinister and cunning. He's also good at collecting information. I have to keep a trump card." Qianji was definitely a scheming opponent. He was also very well informed. The news of Lu Chen obtaining the Supreme Death God Order should not have escaped his eyes. However, Lu Chen did not know that Qianji had been playing tricks behind his back. This time, Lu Chen knew that Qianji was the one behind this. Naturally, he had to be more careful. Even in the battle with the monster race, Lu Chen still had many trump cards that he hadn't used. He still had several trump cards that he hadn't used yet. Then, "Dad, if we set up an arena, Qianji will definitely know about it. Won't we be unable to catch up with him?" Little Beastie said. Lu Chen thought for a moment and said, "That might not be the case. He's only able to travel through the various immortal domains by using a visiting token, and the visiting token has a time limit. Once the time limit has passed, he must return to the mystic spirit race's immortal domain. Besides, he can't just leave after coming to a place. He also has a mission, so we might be able to catch up to him." Little Beast nodded, his eyes burning with passion. "Dad, back then, Little Furball and I were defeated by his puppet. Also, he schemed against Dad time and time again. I must settle this debt with him." Lu Chen smiled. "Don't worry. When we meet Qianji, it will be your turn. This time, I must take his head." Little Green handed over a few pills. Lu Chen had used up too much of his energy in the battle with the monster race. Moreover, he had also suffered some internal injuries. However, Lu Chen thought for a moment and pushed Little Green's pills away. "Little Green, I can't eat pills now. 10 wings, when we reach the God Descendant immortal domain, find a secluded place. I need to rest for 2 days. Little Green frowned. Soon, he guessed Lu Chen's plan. "Boss, are you doing this on purpose, so that Qianji will know that you have yet to recover from your injuries?" Little Beast asked curiously. "But Dad, if you're doing this on purpose, shouldn't we go to a bigger city? That way, the news will spread faster. What if he doesn't know that we're resting in the suburbs?" Lu Chen smiled. "Qianji will definitely keep an eye on my movements. Moreover, my whereabouts have already been exposed. With his capabilities, he will definitely be able to find me. The more I hide the fact that I'm injured, the more he will believe it." The more I make a big fuss, the more suspicious he will be. Little Beast nodded. To deal with a cunning old fox like Qianji, one must use some trick. Dad, then. Are you going to fight all 5 matches in the God-Descendant Immortal Domain? Of course. Isn't this all money? Moreover, the more I fight all 5 matches, the more confident Qianji will be that he knows me well. Lu Chen snorted. Old dog Qianji, you like to scheme, right? I'll play with you this time. Let's see who will win. 2 days later, Lu Chen entered the God-Descendant Immortal Domain. Just as Lu Chen entered the God-Descendant Immortal Domain, he noticed that there were people watching him from afar. These people should not be Qianji's men. Qianji was secretive, but the God-Descendant Immortal Domain did not have the intention to hide. They only watched him from afar. 10 Wings, Dragon Shadow Storm. 10 Wings roared and quickly hid in the clouds. It was hard to see him with the naked eye. A few hours later, a huge dragon appeared in the sky above a dense forest. The dragon circled in the sky for a while before disappearing. Following that, a figure quickly entered the forest from the sky. However, all of this was captured by some people. Qianji, someone found solipsistic. He Yen came to Qianji's side on the back of a huge turtle. That fella shook off the God-Descendant Immortal Domain and hid in the Tianshan forest. He is recuperating from his injuries. Qianji narrowed his eyes. That fella really went to the God-Descendant Immortal Domain? Yes. Qianji sneered. As expected of you, solipsistic. You are still so arrogant. A pity. Even if you managed to shake off the God-Descendant Immortal Domain, you did not manage to shake off my eyes. He Yen said. From his movements, he seems to be chasing after you. This fellow isn't simple. He's actually able to defeat 4 9-star Immortal Kings by himself. Chase? Let him chase after me. Qianji said calmly. I admit that solipsistic is strong. But as you can see, he is also injured. Qianji narrowed his eyes. He sneaked into Tianshan Mountains forest so that I wouldn't know about his injury. Unfortunately, he doesn't know that I have eyes and ears. Nothing can escape from my eyes even if he's thousands of miles away. I can roughly deduce the upper limit of his strength. He might not even be able to defeat the God-Descendant Immortal Domain. Alright, even if he restrains himself a little and doesn't fight all 5 rounds, the experts of the God-Descendant race will definitely make him pay the price. With Lone Tyrant's personality, I'll release the news and intentionally provoke him. He'll definitely chase after me even if he's injured. At that time, I won't even need to do anything. Those monsters at the next stop will be able to kill him. He Yen did not reply. After all, Qianji was the one who planned this. Lone Tyrant, it's time for us to settle the grudge between us. Settle it? You want to kill me? You are not worthy. Chapter 1322. After Lu Chen landed on the ground, he took the elixir Little Green gave him and recovered quickly. Soon, Furball and Originator, who had shrunk to the size of a furball, came out of the woods. Squeak, squeak, squeak. Sure enough, someone was watching them from 10 miles away. Lu Chen sneered, called back Furball and Originator, and focused on healing himself. In fact, Lu Chen had already recovered, but he was not in a hurry to leave. It was not until 1.5 days later that he summoned 10-Winged again and left. The demigod immortal realm was several times larger than the demon realm, and the small immortal cities here were much larger than the 100-demon city. From afar, Lu Chen saw a towering immortal city. 10-Winged, let's go there. A few minutes later, Lu Chen arrived outside the city. As soon as Lu Chen appeared, a group of guards came to greet him. Compared to the human race, the demigod race's skin was sickly pale in the eyes of the human race, but this skin color was healthy for them. They were generally tall, the men were more than 2 meters tall, and the women were between 1.8 and 1.9 meters tall. It was said that the demigod immortals had the bloodline of the ancient gods and were born with the protection of the ancient gods. As their cultivation increased, the protection effect became more obvious. Moreover, their physical strength was very terrifying, and the highest it could reach was 15 times the spiritual power. The most terrifying thing about the demigod immortals was their sensitivity to spiritual power. Many demigod immortal cultivators could understand the intricacies of spiritual power very early, and the number of immortals who could control spiritual power was far more than that of other races. With so many innate advantages, the demigod immortals were firmly in the top echelon of strength among all races. The demigod guards were all very arrogant. In their eyes, a lowly race like humans was not worth mentioning. "You are the solipsistic immortal?" The leader of the guards slightly raised his chin and looked at Lu Chun. "Yes. I didn't expect that a trash race like humans could produce such a good fighter." "Hey, did you slaughter the Demon Realm's immortal arena?" Another guard said, "Captain, the human race can't do anything, but there are many of them. It's possible for 1 or 2 experts to appear." These people did not speak rudely to Lu Chun, but the contempt in their words was no less than that of the demon race. Lu Chun looked at the guards calmly and smiled. "I indeed just came from the demon immortal region. Bring me to your largest immortal arena." The captain coldly harumphed. "Rumor has it that you, the solipsistic, are incredibly arrogant and condescending. You dare to come to our god descendant?" Lu Chun smiled. "In my eyes, there is no difference between you and the demon race." As soon as he said this, the eyes of the demigod guards immediately shone with fierce light. The captain seemed to be under orders. Although his eyes were also filled with hostility, he still stopped his subordinate. "Don't touch him. He will die in the immortal battle arena. Why would our god's descendants fear a challenge from another race? Even more so, I don't want to make a move here. Instead, I'll be gossiped about by others. Solipsistic, let's go. I'll take you there. God Descendant Immortal Region, Imperial Sky Immortal City, Immortal Battle Arena." A large number of God Descendant Immortals were hurrying to the Immortal Battle Arena. The Immortal Battle Arena's spectator seats had been changed to a ticketing system. One had to pay 100 spirit tablets to enter. Even so, it was still hard to get a ticket to the spectator seats for this battle. At the same time, the venerated God Descendant Immortal had already released 2 projection stones. One was for the human race and the other for the demon race. The immortal battle arena of the 2 races was also packed with people. Many people even took out their own projection stones to transmit images a second time. Ever since Lu Chun swept through the immortal battle arena in the demon race, more and more people had been paying attention to him. God Descendant race. One of the strongest races. The battle had not yet begun, but people were already discussing the arena. That guy really went to the God Descendant race. The God Descendant race is good at sensing spiritual energy. The top expert's spiritual energy has probably reached the pinnacle of spiritual energy manipulation. Even if they haven't reached the pinnacle, the solipsistic spiritual energy manipulation won't be of much use. Jur Linglong and Feng Wu looked around. Yi Fan and Mu Long had said that they were going out for a while. Why hadn't they returned yet? There were too many people here. The 2 empty seats were too conspicuous. People were always coming over to ask. If it weren't for Feng Wu, a 5-star Sengoku, there would probably be people trying to rob them. Senior Feng Wu, where did Senior Mu Long go?" Ling Long asked. "It seems that someone opened a bet." Mu Long dragged Yi Fan to place a bet. "What? Senior Mu Long dragged Yi Fan to place a bet?" Jiu Er's eyes widened. "Why didn't Senior Mu Long ask us?" Seeing Jiu Er's nervous expression, Feng Wu was puzzled. "It's common to open a bet in the 7th heaven. Why? Is there something wrong with this? It's not a problem to place a bet, but Senior Mu Long dragged Yi Fan. Senior Feng Wu, You don't know about Yi Fan's special ability. Special ability? Is it some kind of kung fu? No, it's an innate talent. Mu Long and Yi Fan were watching the people in front of them place their bet. Most people bet that the solipsistic spiritual energy manipulation wouldn't be able to win 3 rounds. The two smiled at each other. These people obviously didn't know how powerful Lu Chun was. Although the divine descendants were very powerful and could easily defeat several demons of the same level, the point was that Lu Chun still had several killer moves that he hadn't used at all. Others didn't know, but they did. This was insider information. It's a sure thing this time. Mu Long winked at Yi Fan. Yi Fan was suddenly nervous. He had been losing for decades. Finally, he had a chance to make a fortune. There were more than 50,000 spiritual tablets in his backpack, which were given to him by his master. According to the ratio of 1 to 3, he could get at least 150,000. This bet was actually quite complicated. There were only bets on whether the solipsistic spiritual energy manipulation could make it through 3 rounds. If he made it through, he would win. If he didn't, he would lose. Based on the current situation, those who bet on winning could get 3 to 4 times the return. Hey Yi Fan, I don't think we should play this. The returns are too low. Mu Long pulled Yi Fan to the other side. Bet on this. This was the second type of bet. It was accurate to every round. Of course, the more accurate the bet, the higher the returns. It was like betting on a dice roll. You could only get twice the return, but if you bet on a hit, you could get several times the return. Now, the returns for winning the final round were already frighteningly high. If he won 3 rounds, he could get 6 times the return. If he won 4 rounds, he could get 12 times the return. If he won 5 rounds, he could get 20 times the return. Mu Long pulled Yi Fan out of the crowd and found a quiet place to discuss. Yi Fan, based on your understanding of your master, if he didn't lose, how many rounds would he fight? 5. Yi Fan said confidently. My master's ability to manage money is far better than mine. 5 rounds would be close to 50 million. He wouldn't miss it. As long as we bet on 5 rounds, we can definitely make a profit. Mu Long frowned. But have you ever thought of a problem? Lu Chen's purpose of accepting the Reaper's order is to find Qianji. Think about it. Lu Chen is in the open, and Lu Chen is in the dark. In this situation, Lu Chen should be conserving his strength. Yi Fan suddenly felt as if he was struck by lightning. That's right. How could he forget this key factor? Chapter 13:23. Yi Fan finally found the reason why he was always losing money. That was, he did not think it through enough. Just like Mu Long, he saw through the truth. His master was not here to earn money, he was here to kill Qianji. Qianji was so cunning, how could his master not have a backup plan? This was the most important factor, but he did not think about it. No wonder he always lost. Senior Mu Long, may I ask if you've always won your bets? Mu Long smiled and said humbly, I can't say that I always win. It's just that I can see things that others can't see, so I did earn some money. Yi Fan nodded heavily and sighed. Indeed, after listening to Senior Mu Long's analysis, Yi Fan felt as if he had just woken up from a dream. Mu Long looked at Yi Fan with admiration. Don't be discouraged. You can be taught. As long as you pay more attention to the details, you can have as much money as you want. Yes, I hope Senior Mu Long can teach me more in the future. No problem. Then, let's. Yes. It must be 3 rounds. Yi Fan said with certainty. Oh right, Little Critter said that if there were any bets, we should help him bet everything. Yi Fan suddenly smiled sinisterly. Senior Mu Long, Little Critter said that we should bet everything on winning. As he spoke, Yi Fan could not help but snicker. Hee, little beast's gambling luck is too good. However, he probably doesn't know that the gambling here is so detailed. He can only earn 3 times the amount. As for us, we can finally hold our heads high. The two of them immediately squeezed their way to the betting area and placed all their spirit tablets on 3 wins. Then, they happily returned to the spectator seats with their tickets in hand. As soon as Yi Fan and Mu Long returned, Ling Long, Jiu Er and Feng Wu asked them, "What did you bet on?" "Of course, we won 3 rounds," Mu Long and Yi Fan said confidently. As soon as he finished speaking, the 3 women immediately left their seats and hurried to the betting area. It seemed that they had gone to place their bets. Mu Long winked at Yi Fan. "Look, they're also learning from us. Forget it, let them bask in the glory." Yi Fan nodded. "It's not like it's our money that we're winning anyway. If there's money to be won, everyone can earn it." At the same time, the God-Descendant Race's immortal battle arena was bustling with noise and excitement. A Sengoku walked up to the ring and gestured for everyone to quiet down. "All right, everyone should have heard about what happened in the monster race's immortal domain. What's interesting is that some people actually dared to come to our God-Descendant Race and set up a challenge." The audience roared with laughter. The host smiled and gestured for everyone to be quiet again. "It's been so many years since an emissary has come to our demigod immortal region. Finally, one has come. Since they're here, we naturally have to entertain them properly." Someone below the stage shouted, "We'll definitely greet them well. At the very least, we'll chop them into 8 pieces and hang their corpses on the city gate so that those lowly human beings will know their place. They dare to come to our God-Descendant immortal region? Tell them who is the strongest among the myriad races. In 3 seconds, you humans will never dare to set foot in our God-Descendant immortal region again. Humans, listen well. Next time, our emissary will definitely flatten your human race's immortal battle arena." The host shouted. "Good. Next, let's invite the human emissary onto the stage." Everyone's gaze was fixed on one of the entrances. Not long after, a black-clothed human man appeared at the entrance. Facing the curses and humiliation of hundreds of thousands of people, Lu Chen walked into the immortal battle arena with his head held high. Standing in the center of the immortal battle arena, Lu Chen looked at the countless immortals around him. He snorted and stood proudly in the middle of the arena. The host walked over and sized up Lu Chen. "Solipsistic, do you see the million immortals of our God-Descendant Race? Coming to our God-Descendant Race was a wrong decision. How about it? Do you have anything to say before you die? If you beg for mercy now, maybe we will let you live. After all, to us, crushing an ant is not something to be proud of." Whether it was humans or fiends, after hearing the host's words, they all became nervous. The God-Descendant Race actually said that they would let Lu Chen live? This was not the style of the God-Descendant Race. However, after thinking about it, they knew that if Solipsistic begged for mercy now, it would show the strength of the God-Descendant Race. 1 against 4 in the Fiend Race, while the God-Descendant Race begged for mercy. The strength of the 2 races was immediately clear. Lu Chen smiled and looked around. At this time, the surrounding immortals also quieted down. Everyone wanted to know what Solipsistic wanted to say. "My master will not beg for mercy. Lu Chen will not beg for mercy." Mu Long and Yi Fan muttered to themselves at the same time, their voices almost synchronized. Almost at the same time, Lu Chen said, "Beg for mercy? You must be dreaming." The two looked at each other. Sure enough, they were the worms in Lu Chen's stomach. They even knew what Lu Chen was thinking at this time. If that was the case, then the bet was even more likely to be a success. Lu Chen narrowed his eyes and looked at the hundreds of thousands of God-Descendant Race immortals. He said in a deep voice, "What I said before in the Fiend Race, I can also say to you. I, the human race, Solipsistic, is here. I came to your God-Descendant immortal domain to flatten your God-Descendant immortal battle arena." With a boom, the God-Descendant Race's audience stand exploded. A strange scene appeared in the Fiend Race's immortal battle arena. Many people were cheering. I suddenly feel that this solipsistic really has guts. He actually dares to say such arrogant words to the god-descendant race. Humph, how strong does the god-descendant think he is? Isn't he treated the same as us? Begging for mercy? Doesn't he just want people to think that the god-descendant race is stronger than us fiends? A bunch of arrogant people. I actually hope that solipsistic wins. Me too. The host's expression is somewhat ugly. Lu Chen's face is calm. I have said what I wanted to say, hurry and start. Good. As expected of madman, you will soon regret what you said just now. Primary Marshal Sengoku, start. From the front row of the stands, a figure flashed rapidly and instantly arrived in front of Lu Chen. Primary Marshal Sengoku, Lu Chen's first opponent. What? You came to our god-descendant immortal domain, and you don't dare to fight 1 against 4? Primary Marshal looks at Lu Chen with a smile that is not a smile. Lu Chen snorts coldly. So, in your eyes, I must win against the 4 of you to be considered a winner? Then do you mean that 1 human can fight against 4 of you god-descendant race? Primary Marshal originally wanted to destroy Lu Chen's prestige. In the end, he was asked a series of questions by Lu Chen until his face turned red. You. Humph, what I mean is, as long as I am here, you will not have the chance to see the people behind. In my eyes, you are a dead man. Lu Chen curls his lips. You are slightly better in my eyes. And? What do you mean? In my eyes, you are a spirit piece. Lu Chen says with a smile. Chapter 1324. The two's battle records were quickly displayed. Origin Marshal, 9-star Sengoku, 47 battles, 32 wins, 35 planet coordinate. Solipsistic, no immortal, 77 battles, 77 wins, 98 planet coordinates. With a crisp ring, both sides activated their amplification techniques at the same time. Origin Ancient God Bloodline. Undefeatable War God Possession. Sword Spirit Heavenly Demon. Talisman Emperor Psychic. This Origin Marshal was actually a combination of a sword spirit and a talisman master. Lu Chen sneered. Looks like you have lost quite a few rounds. Stop talking nonsense. My opponents are all god-descendant race experts. How can an ant like you imagine their strength? Don't worry, I am more than enough to kill you. With that, a silver sword appeared in that person's hand. His left hand turned into a sword finger and lightly stroked the sword. A row of golden runes flashed across the sword. Lu Chen narrowed his eyes. This guy had added a formation into his weapon. Speaking of which, the god-slaying spear's formation had not been activated yet. However, such an opponent was not worth it to activate that formation. Immortal Art, Heavenly Master Sword Art, Shadowless Spirit Sword. Origin Marshal instantly appeared in front of Lu Chen and stabbed his sword. At the same time, Lu Chen suddenly realized that he was unable to capture the change in spirit power of the opponent's move. He hurriedly retreated to avoid the opponent's attack and stabilized his footing. Origin Marshal sneered, "Don't you like to fight head-on? Why did you run when you saw me? Don't run, little bastard." The opponent's attacks came wave after wave. Lu Chen was currently in a dodging state and did not even use Reverse Soul Roaming Dragon. This guy could actually obstruct him from sensing the change in spirit power. Once he was unable to judge the opponent's move through spirit power observation, he would be unable to judge the opponent's attack with his naked eye. It's that formation. Lu Chen's thoughts changed. Origin Marshal chased several times but was dodged by Lu Chen. He roared at Lu Chen, "Aren't you arrogant? Why are you a coward in front of me, Origin Marshal? I think you should stop calling yourself solipsistic in the future. Call yourself the only coward." Lu Chen was not affected by Yuanwu. He was thinking hard about countermeasures. Origin Marshal was indeed very strong, but Lu Chen did not think that his opponent was stronger than him in a frontal attack. The key was that he could not see his opponent's moves clearly. The god-descendant race was skilled in controlling their Ling energy. Because of this, they paid great attention to hiding their Ling power in long-term battles. If Yuanwu was like this, then the people behind him would be even better. He had to find a breakthrough first. Lu Chen dodged several times, but did not clash head-on with Yuanwu. Yuanwu chased closer and closer. Still running? Dragon Binding Talisman. Yuanwu threw out a talisman with one hand, which immediately exploded beside Lu Chen. Immediately after, Lu Chen felt that many parts of his body were restricted. It was as if several joints of his body were tied up with rope. Since Lu Chen had exposed an opening, Yuanwu naturally would not give up this chance. He took the chance to charge in front of Lu Chen. Immortal Art, Celestial Master Sword Art, Sword Severing Galaxy. At this time, Lu Chen shouted at the same time, Celestial Demon Heavenly Eye. In the past, the Celestial Demon Heavenly Eye could allow Lu Chen to see more clearly, but the increase was limited. The key was still Lu Chen's own ability to discern the other's attacks. But this time, after activating the Celestial Demon Heavenly Eye, even Lu Chen was surprised. The Celestial Demon Heavenly Eye seemed to be able to see through the other's formation, and helped Lu Chen accurately see the other's Ling power movements. It could actually penetrate the formation. It seemed that he had underestimated the use of the Celestial Demon Heavenly Eye. Now that Lu Chen could see the other's Ling power movements, he no longer had any misgivings. Seeing that the other's sword severing galaxy was about to stab over, Lu Chen flicked the tip of his spear, Reverse Soul Roaming Dragon. With a loud boom, the sword severing galaxy's main attack was deflected by the Reverse Soul Roaming Dragon. It brushed past Lu Chen's body and slammed into the defensive formation at the edge of the stage. Immediately after, Lu Chen's counterattack arrived in front of Yuanwu. 18 Arhat Vajra Spirit Shield. Yuanwu was indeed a 9-star Sengoku, immediately reacting. With a loud boom, Lu Chen's Reverse Soul Roaming Dragon blocked Yuanwu's attack, but his counterattack was also blocked by the Vajra Spirit Shield. After 2 consecutive close-range collisions, both sides retreated dozens of steps. Both of them stopped. Yuanwu stood up and laughed wildly. Ha 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 ha, solipsistic, now you know the strength of our celestial race. I didn't expect that in the battle with the 4 great Sengoku of the demon race, you still preserved your strength. What a pity, you were forced out so quickly. Lu Chen looked coldly at Yuanwu. You're still laughing? Don't you know that you're already a dead man? Yuanwu snorted. Your spirit manipulation technique is not low, but unfortunately, I know it too. So it won't be that easy for you to kill me. Lu Chen unintentionally saw 2 shadow stones. Without a doubt, Qianji was watching his every move through the shadow stones. Lu Chen rolled his eyes and suddenly had an interesting idea. He smiled, and a blue bead suddenly appeared on his shoulder. Do you know what this is? Yuanwu was stunned. Naturally, he did not recognize this bead. He smiled at Yuanwu. You said that you forced me to use my trump card. I don't mind telling you that those are not my trump cards, but this bead is. If not for this bead, I would have died in the 6th heaven. I haven't used it yet. If you have the strength to force me to use this bead, it means that you still have some strength. All of a sudden, the entire immortal battle arena became restless. Solipsistic is really arrogant. He actually revealed his magical artifact? Speaking of which, do you guys recognize this blue bead? There are countless magical artifacts in Jiotian. Who can recognize all of them? But since he used this bead as his trump card, it probably isn't simple. Solipsistic used the Celestial Demon Observation Eye. I calculated that he has a total of 5 pieces of the Celestial Demon Fate reversing set. What kind of magical artifact is it for him to rely on it so much? On the other side, Jiu'er was also very surprised. She asked Yi Fan, what's the bead in your master's hand? Why haven't I seen him use it before? Yi Fan frowned. Sister Jiu'er, I haven't seen it before either. Jiu'er and Yi Fan had never seen a magical artifact before. How deep did Lu Chen hide it? At that moment, they remembered that there was a top student sitting beside them. Sister Linglong, do you recognize it? Linglong was looking at the bead carefully. No matter how she looked at it, there was nothing special about it. Was it really that powerful? I haven't seen it before either. Senior Mu Long, Senior Fengwu, do you guys know it? No. The two Sengoku shook their heads. In the glass room, there were 4 celestial supremes today. 3 men and 1 woman. Pangu, what's that magical artifact in that kid's hand? I don't know either. Pangu stood with his hands behind his back and shook his head. You don't even recognize a celestial supremes. At this time, Lu Chen looked at the blue bead and slightly narrowed his eyes. Qianji, you must be watching my competition right now. I'm fighting here, but you're eating, drinking, and traveling all over the place? Then I'll find something for you to do. No one would be able to recognize the clear water bead that the little golden carp gave him. At the same time, somewhere in the 10,000 spirits immortal realm, Qianji was lying down. He was eating local immortal fruits while watching Lu Chen's competition on the projection stone. However, he had no choice but to sit up. Hey Yen, what's that bead? I haven't seen it before. TSK. Qianji felt that something was amiss. Did this bead save him in the 6th heaven? Could it be that I didn't kill Solipsistic because of this bead? Is this true or false? With Qianji's cautious personality, even if he was 99% sure that Solipsistic would die in the arena, he would not allow such a thing to happen. We have to find out the origin of this bead. Yes, I'll get someone to check it out immediately. Not immediately now. I want to know the origin of this bead now. Qianji roared. Chapter 1325. Lu Chen calmly put away the clear water bead and glanced at the confused Yuanwu. Now you know why I am so confident. I have a treasure. That's why you can't kill me. Are you angry? Yuan Wu was not confident, but Qianji, who was thousands of miles away, was gritting his teeth in anger. Lin Fan's words seemed to be directed at him. Yes, he had already put Lu Chen to death several times, but the result was that he still hadn't killed Lu Chen yet. 100 demon Sengoku could not kill a solipsistic demon? Damn it. He is definitely provoking me. Qianji stood up immediately. He said those words to me. Qianji was so angry that his face turned green. Solipsistic demon, don't be so smug. I'll kill you. I'll kill you. On the stage, Lu Chen was in a good mood. It's getting late. This match should end soon. Lu Chen waved his spear and looked at Yuan Wu. Remember this. As long as I'm here, no one will be able to tell us what to do. After that, Lu Chen touched the body of the spear. Red flames appeared within the god-slaying spear as if lava was about to flow out of the spear. Arrogant! I'll show you the power of the god's descendant race. Yuan Wu's eyes turned cold. He held a sword in his hand. The runes on the sword flashed. The surrounding spiritual energy started to flow towards the sword. Immortal technique, God's calamity. At the same time, Lu Chen shouted, God-slaying spear, heaven's wrath. Instantly, the two powerful techniques collided. The spiritual energy from both sides surged and clashed with each other. The god-descendant race was good at controlling spirit energy. This Yuanwu's spirit energy was also very strong. His spirit energy was ferocious and solid. However, in less than 2 seconds, the heaven's wrath broke through the core spiritual energy of the god's calamity and went straight for the enemy. As the saying goes, a defeated army is like a landslide. The moment the god's calamity showed signs of defeat, the heaven's fury spear immediately became unstoppable. No, impossible. Yuanwu's eyes were wide open. He watched as the other broke through his move, but he was powerless to resist. 18 Arhat's Vajra Spirit Shield. But this time, ultimate marshal was not facing the counterattack of the reverse soul-roaming dragon, but a super-strong single-target attack like the Heaven's Fury Wild Spear. The Vajra spirit shield was instantly shattered. Yuan Wu immediately spat out a mouthful of blood. However, before he could react, a black shadow flashed past him. Solipsistic was already standing behind him. Yuan Wu looked in terror at the large hole in his chest. The earth fire was burning his organs. Even his spirit core had been taken away by that fellow. The hidden attribute of the god-slaying spear, the ability to steal spirit cores with a plop. Yuan Wu weakly knelt on the ground. In his mind, he recalled the time when he roamed the 9 heavens, how glorious he was and how many people admired him. In the 7 heavens, he was also one of the strongest Sengoku. He was only one step away from immortal supremacy. However, he never dreamed that he would fall in the hands of a human. Solipsistic, you are really a human king? Yuan Wu suddenly spoke. I went through so many hardships and was actually defeated by a human king? I am not willing. Lu Chen turned around and looked at the figure kneeling on the ground. He still had an obsession in his heart, so he was not willing to fall. Lu Chen walked in front of Yuan Wu and squatted in front of him. He used his hand to cover his badge and at the same time, removed the spiritual energy fog. When he saw Lu Chen's level, Yuan Wu's eyes widened, filled with disbelief. Lu Chen stood up and restored the spiritual energy fog on his badge. Yuan Wu, you can rest in peace. Yuan Wu suddenly seemed to be relieved. Yes, this person is indeed a human king, but he is not an ordinary human king. Heaven-defying human king. Ha 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 ha. Solipsistic, to be defeated by you, my trip was not in vain. Thank you. With that, Yuan Wu directly fell down. A general success was built on 10,000 bones. This Yuan Wu did not say Lu Chen's rank until he died. He could be considered an honest person. Lu Chen took a deep breath. Unfortunately, he would not stop for anyone. He turned around and looked at the hundreds of thousands of immortals who had already quieted down. He said loudly, "Next." 10 minutes later, the second place, 9-star Sengoku, the super-strong 9-star Sengoku with 37 wins in 52 battles, fell in front of Lu Chen. Immediately after, the third place, 9-star Sengoku with 46 wins in 53 battles, was defeated and fell on the spot. At this point, Lu Chen had already won all 3 battles. At this time, the god-descendant race's immortal arena was completely silent. The human king Solipsistic, in the god-descendant race's arena, won all 3 battles. Those who were mocking Lu Chen earlier all shut their mouths. These 3 Sengoku were getting stronger and stronger, but without exception, they all died under Solipsistic's spear. Qianji was already restless. Now that Solipsistic had already won all 3 battles, as long as he said that he did not want to continue, the god-descendant race would not be able to force him to stay. It could be said that he had already completed the god-descendant race's arena. Solipsistic seemed to be getting closer and closer to him. I still haven't seen him use that bead. Damn it, how did this guy become so strong in such a short time? When he was at the 5th heaven, he could not even defeat me. Now, he actually killed 7 9-star Sengoku consecutively? What kind of monster is he? If I knew this would happen, I would have killed him even if I had to risk my life. On the other side, in the human race's immortal realm, Solipsistic is too strong. Before Yuan Wu Sengoku died, he said that he was a heaven-defying human king. Doesn't that mean that Solipsistic is a human king? It's hard to imagine that a human king could be so strong. At this moment, Lu Chen shouted angrily at the hundreds of thousands of immortals. Who still dares to say that there is no one in the human race? No one dared to answer. Who still dares to say that the human race is weak? No one dared to answer. All Jiutian races, remember this. Wherever the human race's death god goes, the death god will personally descend. No one had dared to say this for thousands of years, and it was said to the god-descendant race. But Solipsistic dared to say it. Not only did he dare to say it, he even said it in front of hundreds of thousands of god-descendant race. No one dared to answer. Jior subconsciously rubbed her hands. At this moment, her blood was boiling. Looking at the man standing alone in the immortal arena like a king, she was overwhelmed with emotions. Brother Nameless is really too strong. Linglong took a deep breath. Ever since she gave up on cultivating ice heart arts, her Tao heart had been shaken for hundreds of years. At this moment, her eyes couldn't move away from that figure. Yi Fan and Mu Long looked at each other and smiled knowingly. After 3 rounds, the speech was over. Master Lu Chen should start working. It was time for them to reap the harvest. At this moment, Lu Chen suddenly said, "Next round." Hearing these 3 words, Yi Fan and Mu Long's smiling faces instantly stiffened. The next round would be the 4th round. "Senior Mu Long, how much did you bet?" Yi Fan said with a trembling voice. Mu Long swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Cough, not much. I just sold Grand White Grotto Heaven, a total of 6 million. Yi Fan's hands trembled. I originally thought that since I had already made a profit, I would secretly take 40,000 from the 50,000 from the little critter. I'm afraid the little critter will chop me alive when it comes back. Chapter 1326. Celestial Body. Celestial Might. Attacking the Void's Heaven's Wrath Spear. The divine descendants were not to be trifled with after all. In the 5th match, Sengoku finally forced Lu Chen to use his remaining 2 trump card. However, with the addition of these 2 amplifications, the power of Heaven's Wrath Spear had reached its peak. The opponent's Heavenly God Sword was no match for the famous Sengoku, and he was killed in 1 shot. Lu Chen's information had been refreshed. Solipsistic, Supreme Immortal, 82 battles, 82 victories, planet coordinates 103. If there were people who doubted his battle record at the beginning, now, no one dared to say that it was a low-level battle record. 82 victories, including 9 9-star Sengoku, and they were the famous Sengoku of the demon race and the divine descendants. Baiming Sengoku was killed by that guy. Is this guy really invincible below celestial supremacy? Heaven's Wrath Spear, I've seen it in ancient books before. It was one of the ultimate techniques that could kill celestial supremacies 1,000 years ago, but why has it become a single-target attack technique now? The celestial killing spear technique differs according to each person's comprehension. In other words, this guy didn't get the inheritance of the celestial killing spear supremacy, but comprehended it himself. Lu Chen was panting heavily. The experts in the last 2 matches had indeed caused some trouble for him. There were many injuries on his body, and the most important thing was that the continuous use of Heaven's Wrath Spear exhausted his spiritual power. However, the god-descendant race's 5 matches had already been completed. The host walked in front of Lu Chen and stared at the extremely weak Lu Chen. Solipsistic, don't think that you can really do whatever you want in the divine descendants' immortal arena. If it weren't for the rules of the Death God's order, I could kill you right now. Lu Chen suddenly raised his head and smiled at the host. Is that so? How about this? I'll make an exception and accept your challenge. I want to see if you have the ability to kill me. The host sucked in a breath of cold air. This lone tyrant was actually planning to accept his challenge? Suddenly, lone tyrant, who was on the verge of collapse, became dangerous in Shifeng's eyes. 5 9-star Sengoku, and all of them were extremely powerful 9-star Sengoku, but all of them had fallen at his hands. Unconsciously, the host took a step back. You! The host snorts coldly. You want the myriad races to start a war against the god-descendant race? Let me tell you, don't even think about provoking me. Lu Chen pursed his lips. You're the one who said you wanted to kill me, and now you're saying that I'm provoking you? Is the skin of all the god descendants so thick? The host had experienced Lu Chen's fierceness and did not dare to continue Lu Chen's words. After all, if they really fought, he was definitely not a match for Solipsistic. Death God's order. Lu Chen smiled faintly and tossed the Death God's token over. That person took the Death God token and found that there was already a seal on it. It was left behind by the demon race. He looked up at the glass room on the top floor of the immortal arena and seemed to have received some kind of instruction. He took out the seal, injected spirit energy and pressed down on the second seal. God Descendant Race passes. Throwing the Death God's token back to Lu Chen verified it, smiled and kept the Death God's token. Hey, let me ask you something, Lu Chen suddenly said. That host was angry and hateful, but he was also a bit afraid of Lu Chen and did not dare to not answer. He said unhappily, "What else do you want? Did Qian Ji from the Mystic Spirit Race come here a while ago? Why should I tell you? This is my God Descendant Race's territory. It's true that you defeated 5 9-star Sengoku, but there's also an immortal supremacy here. Do you really think you're invincible here?" Lu Chen smiled. "That's right. Now that you mention it, it seems that you don't have to tell me. Good that you know." Lu Chen nodded and curled his lips. "That's right. I don't think I've heard that the Supreme Death God's token cannot be used to challenge the same immortal domain multiple times." Hearing that, the host took in a breath of cold air. In history, there were indeed some powerful races that liked to bully others. They would use the enhanced interracial battle token to challenge the same race multiple times. Even their God Descendant race's envoys had done this before. However, the situation now was different. The one who came was a human, and this guy actually wanted to challenge their God Descendant race's immortal arena. If this matter were to spread, the God Descendant race would really lose face. You dare. We still have experts that have not accepted the challenge." Lu Chen was not in a hurry. He smiled and said, "Then did you see me use that blue pearl?" The host felt as if he had been struck by lightning. The pearl that Lone Tyrant had previously displayed was rumored to be his ultimate trump card. However, he had never used it until now. That means that he still has a trump card. This time, the host was really panicking. The God Descendant race was challenged? If such a thing really happened, then among the top clans of the myriad clans, the gods' descendants would be held against them forever and laughed at for thousands of years. After weighing the pros and cons, the host took in a deep breath. It was not worth it for Qianji. He did come, but he left 3 days ago. Where did he go? 10,000 Spirit Race. Lu Chen narrowed his eyes. He left 3 days ago. He arrived at the God Descendant Race's immortal domain 2 days ago. That meant that this guy was only 1 day faster than him. Qianji might be in the 10,000 Spirit Race's immortal domain. Lu Chen nodded. "Okay, then, we'll meet again." "Meet again, you? Didn't you say that you won't come again?" The host was nervous. Lu Chen shrugged. "The next time we meet might not be at the immortal arena. Alright, you don't have to send me off. Ten-winged, let's go." Who's sending you off?" Lu Chen directly summoned Ten-Wing and directly left the immortal battle arena under the watchful eyes of the crowd. In the glass room on the top floor of the God Descendant Race's immortal arena, a few immortal sovereigns watched as the giant dragon flew past them. "This solipsistic, I can't help but want to fight him." "Don't worry, the immortal battle of the 10,000 races is on the agenda. If it's not at the immortal arena next time, no one can protect him." Yi Fan and the rest returned to the immortal spirit grotto heaven. "Sister Linglong, Sister Jur, can you lend me some spirit tablets?" Yi Fan was communicating with Jur and Linglong lost. Jur and Linglong looked at each other and laughed. Yi Fan sighed and looked at the sky helplessly. "This is the closest I've ever been to hope, but the heavens are playing tricks on me. I shouldn't have listened to Senior Mu Long. Maybe it's not because of Mu Long, Jiao reminded him. Yi Fan sighed heavily again. Sister Jiao is right, it's because I don't have the fortune. In the end, it's impossible for me to get rich from gambling. This time, I want to borrow money mainly to repay Little Critter. I borrowed 40,000 from him. This time I have to pay him 120,000. Not long after arriving at the seventh heaven, Yi Fan was once again saddled with a huge debt. I will never gamble again. Gambling is harmful. Ling Long thought for a moment before she said, Yi Fan, it's not a problem to lend you the money since we've earned a little anyway. However, the condition is that you have to place a bet next time and tell us which item you're betting on. You can't be thinking of making use of me to eliminate a wrong choice, right? Jiao nodded. Yi Fan, it's indeed a pity if you don't make use of this talent of yours. How about this? Not only can we lend you spirit tablets this time, we can also give you a commission if we earn money. Yi Fan's eyes widened. Who said that you can't get rich with bad gambling luck? Isn't this an opportunity? Chapter 13:27. At the same time, in the 10,000 spirit races immortal domain. The 10,000 spirit race was one of the strongest races in the 10,000 spirit race. In fact, they were slightly stronger than the god's descendant race. However, the 10,000 spirit race had a fatal weakness, which was that they had very few people. Therefore, the 10,000 spirit race was in an awkward position. They were weak, but the 10,000 spirit race was very strong. Even the god's descendant race and the demon race had to avoid the 10,000 spirit race's elemental energy. On the other hand, the 10,000 spirit race only had a few 100,000 immortals in their immortal domain. Because of this, no one dared to provoke the 10,000 spirit race. However, the 10,000 spirit race also did not provoke other races. The other races would not care if a few 100,000 immortals died, but the 10,000 spirit race would feel heartache if a single immortal died. This was why the 10,000 spirit race was one of the few races that did not compete with the rest of the world. However, the 10,000 spirit race had the right to speak. The 10,000 spirit race was very important to start the 10,000 race war. Qianji had been here for a few days, but the 10,000 spirit race did not seem to be interested in starting the 10,000 race war. However, they were still polite to Qianji and provided him with good food and drink. He Yan quickly walked into Qianji's room. Qianji, we have not found the solipsistic bead. We have checked all the divine items and magical treasures of the various races. There is no such blue bead. No. Could it be something not from the Jiaotian race? The Jiaotian race started from the fifth heaven and used the method of teleportation. Therefore, there are many things that do not belong to the Jiaotian race. It is quite possible. He Yan said. Damn it. Qianji was no longer as carefree as he was a few days ago. He was starting to feel restless. The solipsistic bead actually managed to break through the god's immortal domain. Moreover, he was currently rushing towards the undead race. However, the negotiations between him and the 10,000 spirit race were not going well. Qianji, we have already received enough support. Even if the 10,000 spirit race does not agree, the 10,000 race war is already set in stone. Qianji frowned. I don't like any uncertain factors. The individual strength of the myriad spirit race is extremely strong. The myriad race immortal war is a battle between immortal venerables, an individual war. I'm afraid that the myriad spirit race will stand on the side of the human race. He Yan looked at Qianji. This was the first time he saw Qianji so anxious. Qianji, all spirits do not support the war of the 10,000 races, but they will never stand on the side of the human race. He Yan reminded. However, Qianji was still anxious. No. As long as solipsistic is alive, anything can happen. Qianji, don't you think you're being too sensitive? Lone Tyrant is here to fight, he's here to make enemies. How can the myriad spirit race join hands with the human race? Qianji was stunned for a moment. He Yan's words made sense. His worries were indeed unnecessary. But for some reason, when the solipsistic passed through the god-descendant immortal domain, he found it difficult to think calmly. What was that bead? What was the upper limit of the solipsistic strength? Not only was this solipsistic unable to kill him, but he was also chasing after him like a mad dog. Qianji, you should take a good rest. Your condition is not very good. Don't worry. Our people have been watching the solipsistic. Once he enters the myriad spirit race's immortal domain, we will leave immediately. Qianji suddenly said. How many more days do we have? 2 days. Let's leave now. Now? He Yan asked curiously. Yes, now. If we stay here, we will be the bargaining chip in the hands of the myriad spirit race. The solipsistic will most likely do anything to get his hands on this bargaining chip. Whether the myriad spirit race agrees or not, our lives are no longer in our hands. Since those old fogies of the myriad spirit race are not willing to start the war of the myriad race, 2 days won't change anything. Let's return to the mystic spirit immortal domain now. Oh right, don't inform anyone. We will leave immediately. Don't let the solipsistic know where we are. This. Qianji, are you afraid of that solipsistic? Afraid? Why would I be afraid of him? Don't forget that I almost killed him. Qianji glared at He Yan. Don't forget that I almost killed him. I can kill him at the 5th heaven. Now that I'm at the 7th heaven, I can still kill him. The people we sent out are all trash. Wait till I master the heaven-devouring dark tide. I will kill him personally. He Yan sighed and did not say anything else. He packed his things and prepared to leave the myriad spirit race's immortal domain secretly. There was a long distance between the Shin E race's immortal domain and the myriad spirit race's immortal domain. Lu Chen was sitting cross-legged on the 10-winged dragon head. Dad, do you think Qianji is still in the myriad spirit race? No. Lu Chen opened his eyes and said confidently. Are you that sure? Lu Chen smiled. That guy is very afraid of death. Do you still remember when we were at the 6th heaven? He did not even dare to show his face. Later on, in order to avoid me, he went for his tribulation before he was ready. In the end, he did not even become a true immortal. Do you think he's afraid of death? Little Beast nodded. If that's the case, he is indeed very cowardly. That's why he will definitely run away when he sees you going through the Shin E race's immortal battleground. Lu Chen nodded. Then if we keep chasing him, we will never be able to catch up with him. He can see where we are through the Shadow Stone, but we don't know where he is. Lu Chen squinted his eyes. There is a time limit to the visit order. When the crack world opened, he had already gone to the demon race's immortal domain. He even asked Qi Mang and the rest to kill me. If that's the case, he won't be able to leave for long. Also, I purposely released some smoke bombs. As long as he panics, it won't be hard to catch him. Dad, the smoke bomb you're talking about is clear water pearl, right? Yes. Do you still remember the 5th heaven? The reason why he could suppress me was because he had an extremely accurate grasp of my information. This time, I made him unable to figure out my strength. People like him think that they can control everything, but once there is something that he can't control, he will definitely panic. This is our chance. Lu Chen added, Oh, of course, I showed that clear water pearl in hopes of finding little golden carp. If he can see it, he will also know my whereabouts. After flying for a few hours, Lu Chen saw that they had arrived at the myriad spirit race's immortal domain. He called back Little Beast and the rest. The myriad spirit race had powerful individuals. No one had ever set up an arena here. It could be said that in terms of arenas, the myriad spirit race's arenas were the most terrifying. Lu Chun had just entered the myriad spirit race's immortal domain when a flying mount flew toward him. It was a golden 9-headed phoenix with a wingspan of 300 to 400 meters. It could still fly in front of 10 wings. This mount was not simple, and its owner was definitely not simple. Chapter 1328. There were dozens of people on the Golden Phoenix. The leader of the group had his hands behind his back as he narrowed his eyes and looked at the man on the dragon. "Going go," the man said indifferently. "Yes, sacred martial venerable." One of them cupped his fists and leaped towards the Golden Phoenix, stepping on the air. Lu Chun frowned slightly and ordered Ten-Winged to stop. That man wanted to continue approaching Ten-Winged, but a black spear suddenly shot towards him from afar. At the same time, a spiritual energy shield appeared in front of him. The god-slaying spear stabbed into the spiritual energy shield and blocked the man's path. A deep voice came from the dragon's head. "If you have something to say, say it there. If you dare to take another step forward, kill." The man looked at the black spear and pondered for a moment before stopping and cupping his fists towards the dragon's head. "May I ask if you are Mr. Solipsistic?" Lu Chun walked to the dragon's head and looked at the other party. "Yes. Mr. Lone Kwang, I am Sengoku of the Myriad Spirit Race, Gying. I am here to welcome Mr. Lone Kwang under the Order of Sacred Martial Venerable." Lu Chun frowned slightly. Both the Devil Race and the God Descendant Race wanted to welcome him, but no race would send an immortal venerable to personally welcome him. Or rather, he did not know if the other party's welcome had other intentions. "Mr. Lone Kwang, there is no need to worry. You have the Death God's command, so we will not harm you outside of the arena. Moreover, we have no reason to obstruct you." Lu Chun looked at this Sengoku. This man was not weak. However, compared to the other Sengoku that Lu Chun had met, this man gave off a calm feeling. When he spoke to him, he was neither servile nor overbearing. He did not flaunt his strength or bow to him. Lu Chun pondered for a moment before saying to Ten-Winged, "Ten-Winged, come back first. I will go with them." After calling back Ten-Winged, Lu Chun floated in the air and raised his hand. The god-slaying spear returned to his hand. "Gying Sengoku, please lead the way." Gying smiled faintly. "Please." The two of them flashed onto the back of the Golden Phoenix. "Sacred Martial Sengoku, Mr. Solipsistic is here." Guing bowed to a man and reported. Lu Chun also looked at the tall man. Because the 10,000 Spirit Clan had a small population, even Lu Chun had not encountered the 10,000 Spirit Clan. The figures of the 10,000 Spirit Race were similar to that of the human race. Their appearances were not much different from that of the human race. However, the 10,000 Spirit Race's faces were more prominent. Even the women were the same. They looked a little fierce. The Venerable Celestial was wearing a white armor. He didn't look like an immortal, but he looked more like a seasoned veteran. With his back to Lu Chun, the man said in a low voice, "Solipsistic, I don't like to beat around the bush. I want to ask you, did you come to my Myriad Spirit Clan to set up an arena or to kill people?" Lu Chun said, "It's not just the Myriad Spirit Race. When I go to any race, my main mission is to set up an arena. Since you're setting up an arena, why didn't you leave anyone alive in the previous 5 battles? They wanted me dead. Naturally, I had to kill them first." Lu Chun said frankly. "Since they're my enemies, why should I be merciful?" The Venerable Celestial went silent for a while and asked, "Why did you choose my Myriad Spirit Clan to set up an arena?" "I'm chasing after someone." "Qianji." "Yes. If I tell you that Qianji had just escaped from here, will you continue to challenge him?" Lu Chun was stunned. It seemed like the Venerable Celestial did not want him to stay. "Solipsistic, I've seen your battles. I know that you haven't used your full strength. At least, you haven't used your blue magical pearl." Lu Chun was stunned again. Clear water pearl? Wait, wasn't he the one who tricked Qianji? Why did it seem like many people were tricked as well? This. I haven't used it yet. The clear water pearl was used to increase affinity with the water element. Its effect was average. Until now, it had only increased a few hundred points. Actually, its greatest use was for underwater protection. Naturally, Lu Chen would not use it when he was fighting on land. Qianji had looked for us before. He wanted to persuade us to start the myriad race war against the human race. However, our myriad spirit clan does not like to participate in such things. Hence, we did not agree to his request. The Venerable Celestial continued. Don't think that I'm afraid that you'll win against our Sengoku. In fact, if we send our strongest 9-star Sengoku, you might not win. If this was said out of nowhere, people might think that he was trying to hide something. However, when Lu Chen saw how calm Gu Ying and the rest were, he already believed him. Although Myriad Spirit Clan took the initiative to ask him to give up on setting up an arena here, Gu Ying and the rest did not have any other reaction. They did not seem to care about Lu Chen's reply at all. After fighting for a few times, Lu Chen was certain that these people were not weak. Lu Chen frowned and asked, "Then why does the Sacred Martial Venerable hope that I won't set up an arena here? Firstly, if you win here, it will definitely cause the immortals in our clan to dislike Earth. The Devil race and the God Descendant race do not care. Their hostility towards the human race is deep-rooted. They have long agreed to start the Myriad Race War against the human race. But our Myriad Spirit Clan is different. We don't like this kind of meaningless annexation. After all, we already have enough resources in our hands. Even if we have more, it won't change the fact that our Myriad Spirit Clan has very few people. And if you incite public anger, we might be forced to be involved in this immortal war. Secondly, I think that you're a talent. You don't have to doubt my motives. Our Myriad Spirit Clan has very few people. Starting from the fifth heaven, many of us will take in other clans as our disciples. Hence, in our eyes, the strong should be respected. It has nothing to do with race. It had to be said that Lu Chen had a good impression of this Myriad Spirit Clan. If you had told me at the beginning that you were here to kill people and to flatten my Myriad Spirit Immortal Arena, I wouldn't have needed to say anything else. Since you're here to defend yourself, that's why we're having this conversation. Although you're very strong, if you want to set up an arena in the Myriad Spirit Clan, let alone 5 rounds, I won't let you win even 1 round. Therefore, you might as well continue your legend and choose the next clan. I can let you pass through the Myriad Spirit Immortal Realm directly. How about it? Are you willing to accept my conditions?" After the Sacred Martial Venerable finished speaking, he paused for a long time. He didn't urge Lu Chen, giving him enough time to think. Suddenly, Lu Chen raised his head and said, "Sacred Martial Venerable, if the Myriad race launches the Myriad Race War against the human race, is it possible for your Myriad Spirit Clan to help?" "No." The Sacred Martial Venerable answered directly. Lu Chen frowned. "Sacred Martial Venerable, then. I'm sorry, I won't accept your suggestion. I'll set up an arena in the Myriad Spirit Clan." "Why?" Lu Chen took a deep breath. "I've accepted the Death God Order and come to the Monster Race, the God's Descendant Race, and the Myriad Spirit Clan. You all said that the Myriad Race War is unavoidable. Therefore, other than killing Qianji, I'm also going to make all the other clans reconsider whether they want to launch the Myriad Race War against the human race. The Myriad Spirit Clan's individual combat power is even stronger than the God's Descendant Race. If I can pass through here smoothly, I believe that I can make more clans reconsider the Myriad Race War." After a moment of silence, the Sacred Martial Venerable said, "Are you sure? Your decision may cause you to die here." Lu Chen smiled. "So what if I die? There are some people that I will protect even if I have to die." Chapter 1329. At this moment, the Martial Saint Celestial Master turned around. The surrounding Sengoku knelt down on one knee. Lu Chen was also stunned when he saw this person. Most importantly, he looked more like a human than the other myriad spirit race members. The martial Saint Celestial Master raised his hand and the other Sengoku stood up. He looked at Lu Chen and smiled. Don't stare at me like that. You're right, I have half-human blood. My mother is a human, even though I know she didn't give birth to me willingly. Celestial Master. Gu Ying couldn't help but remind the martial Saint Celestial Master. He didn't expect the martial Saint Celestial Master to mention such a secret to an outsider like the solipsistic. The myriad spirit race used force to make the martial Saint Celestial Master's mother pregnant with him. Clearly, this wasn't something to be proud of. The martial Saint Celestial Master said calmly, after so many years, I've already seen through these things. The myriad spirit race is a natural-born powerhouse. While they are blessed, they are also cursed. The chances of getting pregnant in the myriad spirit race is extremely low. 9 out of 10 babies would die in the womb. Therefore, what happened to my mother isn't rare. Lu Chen didn't know how to comment. The martial Saint Celestial Master walked to Lu Chen and looked at Lu Chen. Are you sure you want to set up an arena? You might miss the chance to catch up with Qianji. Lu Chen smiled. I won't go around any immortal domain. As for Qianji, he won't be able to escape. The martial Saint Celestial Master smiled. You're indeed arrogant. For someone like Qianji, you'll be in more danger if he lives. Martial Saint Celestial Master, since you have half-human blood, why can't you help the human race? The martial Saint Celestial Master said, Firstly, I do have the right to speak in the myriad spirit race, but I don't have the final say. Secondly, the human blood has never brought me any glory, only endless humiliation. Thirdly, although the myriad spirit race doesn't need to sever ties with the mortal world to deal with the heavenly tribulation, I've already seen through the mortal world. But, Lu Chen suddenly stared at Xingwu. But adversity can also push people forward. Even though you're an immortal venerable now, half of your body's bloodline is still human. Mortal love? Sorry, forgive me for being blunt, but even you immortals will never be able to escape from it. I know many immortals, and there are as many heartless people as there are hairs on a cow. However, no one can truly forget the past. You all just choose to forget and seal the past in the depths of your memories. Lu Chen snorted. If you don't care about the future of the human race at all, you wouldn't be waiting for me here. You don't have to tell me everything. No matter how you threaten me, since I've decided to open the arena here, I won't change my mind. Xingwu narrowed his eyes slightly. Solipsistic, if you lose one day, it will be because of your stubbornness. But it's also because of my character that I've come this far. Lu Chen refused to budge an inch. The other Sengoku couldn't help but look at Lu Chen a few more times. Solipsistic was probably the first person who dared to talk to Xingwu Immortal Venerable like this. However, Xingwu didn't get angry. After a while, he suddenly said, You just said that no matter how I threaten you, you won't change your mind? Yes. Then, what about temptation? Lu Chen suddenly paused. This Xingwu Immortal Venerable was really something. He even knew about coercion and temptation. Since coercion didn't work, he changed to temptation? But in the face of right and wrong, he should still be able to maintain his principles. Ahem. I'll make a condition. See if you can accept it. Xingwu Immortal Venerable said, I'll set up the arena for you, but you can only fight 3 rounds at most. Then, no matter who wins or loses, I'll take you to the myriad spirit ancient realm. I'll give you 3 years to cultivate there. Lu Chen's principle was now greatly shaken. Don't be in a hurry to answer me. You can go to the Blood Spirit City and let the people there take you to the Saint Martial Immortal City. At that time, tell me your decision. Xingwu Immortal Venerable turned around. Okay, you can go now. Seeing Lu Chen flying away on 10-winged, Guiying stepped forward. Immortal Venerable, you still can't let go of the human race. Although Shengu Immortal Venerable said that he was here to negotiate with Lu Chen, he was obviously here to give him benefits. Shengu Immortal Venerable put his hands behind his back and looked at the distant sky. That direction was the human race's immortal realm. Guying, I've never been there before. I'm going to see my mother's hometown. She gave me life, and I gave the human race hope. Mother and son, we are, even now. Guying also looked in that direction. Immortal Venerable, Lu Chen was thinking along the way that there was no need to consider such a deal. He should have agreed at that time. 2 less battles meant that he would lose 20 million spirit tablet. But the name of the 10,000 spirit ancient realm was not simple at all. Sai, if I go to the 10,000 spirit ancient realm, won't Qianji escape? This was probably the main reason why Lu Chen was hesitating. Now, he was only half a day away from Qianji. If he gave up halfway, who knew when the next time would come? Just as Lu Chen was thinking, a large immortal city appeared in front of him. As soon as Lu Chen landed, someone walked out of the city gate. There were a total of 3 people. The leader said, Mr. Solipsistic? You know me? Don't tell me you're waiting for me here too? Lu Chen asked curiously. We've seen your arena recording stone. Here, the strong will be respected. It has nothing to do with race. Lu Chen indeed felt that the atmosphere of the 10,000 spirit tribe was different from other races. But, if Mr. Lone Tyrant is here to spar, the 10,000 spirit tribe welcomes you. But if you're here to Lu Chen interrupted him. It's just an arena. If others don't want my life, I don't have to take their lives. Only then did that person nod his head, and the wary look on his face turned into a smile. Good, that's for the best. Actually, I have a disciple of the human race. It's just that that kid is really disappointing. Ha ha ha, he should still be a true immortal now. A guard beside him asked, Oh right, I heard that the 10,000 spirit tribe is going to start an immortal war with the human race. Does Mr. Lone Tyrant know about this? I've heard about it. There's a high chance that it's going to be hard to reverse the situation, Lu Chen said, but I hope that through this arena there will be some changes. That person nodded. Sigh, before I came to the 7th heaven, I had a few teammates from the human race. I couldn't bear to see them go extinct. Once the 10,000 spirit tribe war starts, it will decide the life and death of a race. Lu Chen suddenly had a good impression of the 10,000 spirit tribe. Many thanks. But if it's really hard to reverse the situation, we'll still protect the human race with our lives. Mr. Lone Tyrant, forgive me for being blunt. With your current strength, I'm afraid you're powerless to reverse the situation. Lu Chen asked, Oh right, do you know about the 10,000 spirit ancient realm? Is it a time cultivation room? If you cultivate in the 10,000 spirit ancient realm for 3 years, how long would that be? 10,000 spirit ancient realm? The 3 10,000 spirit tribe members were surprised. How should I put it? It can be considered a time cultivation space, but not completely. If you cultivate in there for 3 years, it'll be 3 years inside and 3 years outside. If you cultivate in there for 3 years, it'll be 3 reincarnations. Hearing that, Lu Chen's mind buzzed. Chapter 1330. Lu Chen followed these people to Saint Martial Immortal City. Myriad spirit races Immortal City was huge. It was not inferior to God-descendant races Immortal City. But there were few people in the city, it seemed empty. In front of Saint Martial Immortal Venerable's cave dwelling, Lu Chen waited for a while before he was invited into the Grotto Heaven. Level 1 cave dwelling was indeed on a different level from Level 2 cave dwellings. It was almost like a small world. There were mountain springs and streams, birds chirping and flowers fragrant. It was full of spirit energy. Saint Martial Immortal Venerable was hoeing in a flower field. Lu Chen walked over. Help! Saint Martial Immortal Venerable glanced at Lu Chen. I don't know how. Lu Chen said honestly. You don't know how? You defeated Sengoku, You don't know how to grow herbs? I didn't learn how to refine medicine, not to mention growing herbs. Saint Martial Immortal Venerable stood up and looked at Lu Chen in surprise. You are quite interesting. How is it, have you thought it through? I have. I agree to your condition. We will only fight 3 rounds. As long as your people don't kill me, we will only spar. But I have a condition. I need to find Qianji first. I will go to Myriad Spirit Ancient Realm after I return. Saint Martial Immortal Venerable smiled. He did not say anything. He suddenly asked another question. Have you heard of the heaven-devouring black tide? Heaven-devouring black tide? Is it a cultivation technique? No, it is a type of puppet. The heaven-devouring black tide is formed by gods slaying demonic insects. I heard you have a heaven-devouring god-slaying rat. The power of a god-slaying demonic insect is even more terrifying than an adult heaven-devouring god-slaying rat. Lu Qin opened his eyes wide. A small goo worm has such terrifying power? Not at first, but the heaven-devouring black tide refers to the countless number of god-slaying demonic insect puppets. Saint Martial Immortal Venerable brought Lu Qin to sit on a chair in the flower field. Wherever the heaven-devouring black tide passes, not even a blade of grass will survive. You can say that even an immortal venerable would have to avoid the heaven-devouring black tide. Puppeteer is the most unique profession in the immortal realm. Even if they do not open the path to immortality, their strength will continue to increase. Of course, it's not easy to do that. You need to have an incredible talent in puppetry. Most puppeteers are unable to break through the level restriction. Unfortunately, Qianji has the talent to break through the level restriction. Qianji is a rare genius puppeteer. His puppetry skills have reached a godly level. His hands can be said to be the work of nature. I heard that his heaven-devouring black tide is almost complete. Lu Qin was stunned for a moment. He had been chasing after Qianji all this while. However, he had never thought about whether he could defeat Qianji if he managed to catch up with him. Now that he could defeat a 9-star immortal king, and Qianji was only a rogue immortal, it should not be a problem for him to defeat Qianji. Martial Immortal Venerable God. Qianji's strength was beyond his imagination. Most importantly, solipsistic, you're going to face more than just Qianji. Can you change the situation by killing him? Lu Qin didn't know what to say for a while. So, make good use of this opportunity. Lu Qin looked at Sacred Martial. Why are you helping me? Xing Wu looked at Lu Qin and said after a moment of silence, Senior Immortal. Sometimes I have no choice. In short, I don't want to see the extinction of the human tribe. From this point of view, I'm not helping you. I'm just taking what I need. Lu Qin nodded. No matter what, thank you for telling me all this. So what do you plan to do now? After the battle, I'll come to the 10,000 Spirits Ancient Realm. In 3 years, all of this will be over. Are you confident? No, I only know that I can't lose. Black Tortoise smiled and nodded. The path you've chosen has no way out. All right, let Guying bring you to the Immortal Arena. At this moment, the human race Immortal Arena was filled with people. The Goblin race Immortal Arena and the God Descendant race Immortal Arena were also filled with people. Solipsistic finally went to the 10,000 Spirits Immortal Realm. There were people setting up bets all over the place. Yi Fan bet a few hundred spirit tablets on winning 3 rounds in a row. Seeing that Yi Fan had made a bet, Mu Long, Feng Wu, Jiu Er, and Ling Long also placed their bets on winning 5 rounds in a row. Although the odds of winning 5 rounds in a row had decreased greatly after the battle between the Goblin race and the God Descendant race, everyone still returned to their seats happily. After all, there was still profit to be made. The battle soon started. To Lu Chen's surprise, his first opponent was Guying, who had sent him here. Saint Martial Celestial's right-hand man, 9-star Sengoku, Guying. 53 battles, 51 wins. One had to know that this included all his battle results since he entered the seventh heaven. In the 10,000 spirits race, which was extremely strong, to have such battle results was already very terrifying. Solipsistic, do your best, Gying said calmly. If you don't use your blue pearl now, you may not have a chance to use it. Lu Chen smiled. It had been a long time since he had encountered such a pure battle. Lu Chen took out the Void God slaying spear. It is indeed a good spear. Gying's gaze fell on the Void God slaying spear, and he couldn't help but praise. However, mine is not bad either. With that, he moved his sword finger, and two long swords appeared beside him, one on the left and one on the right, one green and one white. It's the Sky Sea twin swords. Mu Long recognized the sword as soon as he saw it. This is also the famous weapon of a celestial supremacy. It seems that Gying has obtained the inheritance of that celestial supremacy. This Gying's main cultivation is sword spirit, and his secondary cultivation is killing god assassin. He is definitely the most difficult 9-star Sengoku to deal with. Feng Wu said. Solipsistic, I will not let you pass through me. Gying held two swords and looked coldly at Lu Chen. The two of them activated many additional statuses at the same time, and both of them were already 120% alert. With a ding, the immortal battle began. Almost at the same time, Gying disappeared from Lu Chen's sight. Celestial Demon Heavenly Eye. Lu Chen used the Heavenly Eye to help him observe his opponent's movements. Don't look for him, he is here. A low shout came from behind Lu Chen, and then two cold breaths brushed past the back of Lu Chen's neck. Immortal technique, cold light backstab. This was the killing god assassin. His movements were unpredictable, and his killing moves were extremely swift. I knew you were behind me, Lu Chen shouted in a low voice. Reverse Soul Roaming Dragon. Lu Chen quickly blocked the opponent's attack, but the moment he blocked the attack, Gying had already disappeared. My backstab is an immortal technique. Do you think you can block it so easily? Another chill came from behind him. Lu Chen hurriedly withdrew his reverse soul roaming dragon and shouted in a low voice, Emptiness of God's and Demons' Arm. Void Guard. With a boom, the high-intensity spiritual energy collided and exploded on Lu Chen's void arm, and Lu Chen was knocked back. Spear Dao, shattering stars. This time, Lu Chen directly stabbed his spear behind him. As expected, the immortal technique's backstab was a continuous backstab. This spear directly forced Gying to reveal his true body. Gying jumped away easily and was not in a hurry to attack. He looked at Lu Chen with interest. You have quite a lot of combat experience. You actually predicted that I would prepare an ambush behind you. Looks like I still underestimated you. Lu Chen sneered. Gying, if this is your full strength, I'm afraid you can't stop me. Gying smiled. That was just a warm-up. Chapter 1331. I'll show you what it means to have two professions, Guing said and suddenly increased his speed. The Sky Sea twin swords could be used in hundreds of ways in his hands. Sometimes it would be the sword spirit's sword, and sometimes it would be an assassin's dagger. Gu Ying's spiritual power was also extremely exquisite. Sword chi and cold air crisscrossed, making it impossible to guard against. An inch longer was an inch stronger, and an inch shorter was an inch more dangerous. Gu Ying's attack was to avoid Lu Chen's spear range and attack close to Lu Chen. Reverse Soul Roaming Dragon. Lu Chen blocked the opponent's attack and was about to stab with his spear, but Gu Ying had already used an assassin's movement technique to get behind him. Solipsistic, although your attack is strong, you can't even touch the corner of my clothes. Frost Throat. 9 Void Steps. You can't run away. Carefree Sword Chi. Ghost Claps Shoulder. Several Sword Chi attacked at the same time, but Gu Ying was already behind Lu Chen. Lu Chen hurriedly swung Great Ravager and used Great Ravager to block at the same time. Wrong, my killer move is here. A voice suddenly came from below Lu Chen. Piercing sun soaring sky. Lu Chen hurriedly moved to the side, but the opponent's speed was too fast, and Lu Chen was not prepared. Although he avoided the vital parts, he was still hit by the sharp and tricky attack. With a boom, Lu Chen was directly sent flying by the spiritual power. The two's close combat speed was extremely fast, but Gu Ying's movement technique was more flexible, and his attacks were more varied. Everyone was already dazzled watching. That Gu Ying is really strong. I've never seen Master being suppressed like this in a fight. Yi Fan frowned, his eyes full of worry. Gu Ying is known as the nightmare of close combat. As long as you're entangled with him, it's a nightmare, Mu Long said in a low voice. The Thousand Spirit Clan's individual combat ability is definitely the best among all the clans, Ling Long also said. Fortunately, Lu Chen's body was protected by dragon scales. After being hit this time, the dragon scales were cut from his lower abdomen to his left chest. Blood seeped out, but it was not fatal. Lu Chen glanced at the wound on his chest. His eyes emitted a faint green mist. Gu Ying stood not far away and looked at Lu Chen indifferently. I said, "Don't even think about getting past me." Lu Chen slightly narrowed his eyes. Suddenly, he put away the void god-slaying spear. Seeing this scene, everyone was somewhat puzzled. Lone Tyrant had always used this void god-slaying spear since he was a member of the demon race. It was extremely powerful, and countless celestial kings had fallen under its might. However, he had put away his weapon? Is Solipsistic admitting defeat? He didn't even use the god-slaying spear. He must know that he can't defeat Lone Shadow. Guiying is too strong. He's already one of the strongest 9-star Sengoku. Do you know who Solitary Shadow lost to in the past 2 matches? It's said that he was too arrogant and angered a Sengoku demon when he was a true immortal. That was why he lost 2 battles. Since he followed the sacred martial celestial master, he restrained his arrogance and focused on improving his strength. When he reached the level of Sengoku, he defeated his opponent who was 2 stars higher than him. There were many legends about Guiying, but without exception, they all proved that Guiying was the most terrifying killer. In the glass room on the top floor of the 10,000 Spirit Immortal Arena, a few celestial masters were watching the battle. Solipsistic demons should be planning to give up. Sacred Marshal, do you really think it's a wise choice to let him use the 10,000 Spirit Ancient Realm? If Guiying can't defeat him, it means that he's not the best. Sacred Marshal, we can understand that you want to help the human tribe. When you applied to let solipsistic demons use the 10,000 Spirit Ancient Realm, we didn't object. But now, it seems that the hope you mentioned doesn't exist at all. After a long silence, the Sacred Martial Celestial Master finally said, "The fate of the human tribe will be changed by the human tribe. Even I can't do it. The battle hasn't ended. It's too early to make a conclusion." Guiying looked at Lu Chen in surprise as he put away the god-slaying spear. He frowned slightly and said, "You want to surrender? Don't worry, I won't kill you." Lu Chen snorted and said, "Guiying, I'm sorry. You misunderstood me. The word surrender doesn't exist in my dictionary. You can't stop me." After saying that, Lu Chen slowly raised his right hand. A 2-colored long sword slowly rose from the void. As if they had been waiting for a long time, the moment this sword appeared, the weapons of all the people present vibrated slightly at the same time. What kind of weapon is this? My divine artifact unsealed itself. My divine artifact is one of the top 50 divine artifacts on the list of 10,000 Spirit Ancient Realm. How could it be so restless? Black and white like yin and yang. The black and white spiritual energy revolves around it like a celestial demon. This sword, could it be? Everyone thought that Lu Chen was only good at using spears. They didn't know that this sword had accompanied Lu Chen for the longest time. The black and white long sword, the black and white fog. The infinite celestial demon sword, the king descends. In the glass room, the celestial primes looked at the long sword in Lu Chen's hand in shock. My God, this guy has collected all 7 pieces of the life-reversing celestial demon set. He's only a human king, how could he do this? The infinite celestial demon sword is not on any list. The only reason is that it's too powerful. I didn't expect Solipsistic to have the infinite celestial demon sword. Even my universe gold bell is nervous. This is the number 1 divine artifact in the 10,000 spirit immortal realm. When he saw his master take out the infinite celestial demon sword, Yi Fan immediately let out a long sigh of relief. Looks like master is really angry. He even took out the infinite celestial demon sword. Mu Long opened his eyes wide. This is the other weapon that guy was talking about? He originally thought that the void god-destroying spear was already strong enough. He didn't expect that Lu Chen actually had an even stronger weapon. This guy, Mu Long said fiercely, how can a person who only cultivates fishing be so strong? Lu Chen held the infinite celestial demon sword in one hand and looked at Guing indifferently. Guing, I heard that you're good at close combat? Unfortunately, I don't only know how to use spears. After saying that, Lu Chen shot towards Guing like a bolt of lightning. The infinite celestial demon sword had already finished extracting the divine artifact. All the attributes that it had devoured in the past were now counted as Lu Chen's. Moreover, it had just devoured a batch of half-god artifacts and god artifact. Now, its attributes were even stronger than before. Divine Devil Star Body. Instant 3,000 slashes. Lu Chen's figure suddenly blurred. Solipsistic, do you think that you can defeat me with this kind of low-level skill? Gu Ying's figure suddenly disappeared. Fierce Tiger descends the mountain. Sacred Lotus Sword Heart. The Sacred Lotus Sword Heart used by the infinite celestial demon sword was even faster. Moreover, Lu Chen had also activated the Divine Devil Star Body. The current Sacred Lotus Sword Heart was on a completely different level from the god-destroying spear earlier. Thousands of sword shadows streaked across the sky, bombarding the ground with indiscriminate attacks. The infinite celestial demon sword in Lu Chen's hand suddenly transformed into the god-destroying spear. Fierce Tiger descends the mountain. Suppressive fire. Boom, 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 boom. The entire immortal arena was bombarded by the sword chi and spiritual energy cannons. Under such intensive attacks, even Gu Ying found it hard to get close. He could only wait for a better opportunity. However, such a terrifying attack did not make Gu Ying appear. This guy was too strong. However, at this moment, Lu Chen suddenly launched an attack at an empty space. Gu Ying, I have found you. Sky-breaking sword. There was a flash of light. Then, a figure suddenly appeared in the empty space. His eyes were wide open. Solipsistic used the aftershock of the spiritual energy produced by the intensive attacks to locate Gu Ying's position. This fellow was like a completely different person compared to before. Assassins were afraid of being exposed, but sword spirits were not. Facing Lu Chen's sky-breaking sword, Gu Ying activated his ultimate skill. Don't think that I won't dare to fight you head-on. Immortal technique. Sky and Sea double swords, Sea and Sky sword. However, just as Lu Chen's sword was about to collide with Gu Ying's, Lu Chen suddenly changed his move. Formless. Triple door. Universal annihilation, back attack. With Formless, Lu Chen cancelled the back attack without leaving a trace. He only used the back attack to quickly move behind his opponent. Immortal technique, True Fire Ice Sword, Polar Ice Explosion. Chapter 1332. Gu Ying's eyes widened. Is there a need to be so casual? However, at this moment, the ice flame explosion sword was already sweeping towards him like 2 giant dragons of ice and fire. Lu Chen changed his move suddenly. The ice element reduced his movement speed, and Gu Ying couldn't dodge in time. He had no choice but to take it head-on. Colored glass sword shield. With a loud bang, the spiritual energy in front of Gu Ying exploded. Other than the ice element, the ice flame explosion sword also had the fire element. The explosion of the fire element's spiritual energy was fully unleashed at this moment. The terrifying flames instantly engulfed Gu Ying. Everyone couldn't see Gu Ying's situation clearly. After a short moment, Gu Ying's figure was quickly sent flying from the fire dragon. His whole body was like a cannonball. He flew back hundreds of meters and directly hit the defensive shield. Gu Ying's whole body was burned. His hands were trembling as he leaned weakly on the defensive shield. Even a 9-star Sengoku couldn't block Solipsistic's sword. The black and white swords gently touched Gu Ying's chest. Lu Chen stood in front of Gu Ying with his sword and smiled. "You lost." Gu Ying was furious. He wanted to stand up, but Lu Chen shook his head at him. "Gu Ying, don't go too far. I don't want to take your life." Gu Ying stared at Lu Chen. After a while, he took a deep breath and sighed. "So, the sword is your most powerful weapon?" Lu Chen shook his head. "I can only say that my god-slaying spear was suppressed by you too much. I had no choice but to use the sword." Solipsistic admitted that Gu Ying did suppress his god-slaying spear. This was undoubtedly a high evaluation of Gu Ying. Lu Chen put away the limitless sword. He reached out his hand and smiled at Gu Ying. Gu Ying hesitated for a moment and shook his head self-mockingly. "Solipsistic, everyone says that you're extremely arrogant. But the strange thing is, I actually feel that you're not that arrogant. Maybe you've already tried your best not to show off in front of others." After saying that, Gu Ying grabbed Lu Chen's hand and climbed up from the ground, putting his hand on Lu Chen's shoulder. "Hey, tell me secretly. Don't tell me that your spiritual aura has reached the level of spirit manipulation. You change your moves too quickly." Lu Chen smiled. "I've only scratched the surface. I just said that you're not arrogant and now you're starting again? I really only scratched the surface." Fine, I don't want to talk to you." "Hey, your polar ice flame explosion is a dual elemental cultivation technique. But what's your affinity with ice and fire element?" 20,000. Ice and fire have both reached 10,000. No, both ice and fire are 20,000. You. How many pills did you take?" "I didn't take much elemental affinity." "Sigh, how much does a single pill add?" "Previously, that Pangu immortal gave me 3 yellow earth heavenly crystal pills, but it only added 1,500 points. He was so stingy. I don't want to talk to you anymore." Lu Chen sent Gu Ying to the side of the arena. Along the way, the two of them whispered, and no one knew what they were talking about. Gu Ying's colleague glanced at Lu Chen, then helped Gu Ying over. "Solipsistic, you are indeed very strong." "Thank you." Lu Chen smiled and returned to the arena. Standing on the arena again, he suddenly realized that many people in the myriad spirit clan's bustling immortal arena audience stand stood up and looked at him. In the stands, a Sengoku shouted at Lu Chen. That person's voice was loud like a bell. "At first, I thought that your sacred lotus sword heart and firepower suppression were a big failure. Not to mention wasting a lot of spiritual energy, this kind of aimless attack couldn't target Gu Ying. But I didn't expect that you actually used 2 major group attack techniques to cover the entire arena with your spiritual energy, using spiritual energy to change and lock onto Gu Ying. Such a hidden and unsolvable trap, this one admires you." Lu Chen smiled at that person. "Senior overpraises me." After that person finished speaking, he jumped onto the arena and cupped his fists towards Lu Chen. "Senior doesn't deserve this title. Your strength has made my eyes light up. This king is Golden Court Sengoku, and I would like to exchange pointers with little friend Gu Kuang." Soon, Golden Court's information was displayed. 9-star Sengoku, 56 battles, 56 victories. It was actually a perfect record. Even Golden Court can't sit still. In the glass room, an immortal senior shook his head and sighed. That guy hasn't fought for a long time. With his strength, he might break through to the immortal senior realm at any time. Golden Court should be considered the peak of 9-star Sengoku's strength among the myriad races. That's not necessarily true. There are crouching tigers and hidden dragons in every race, and a fight between experts happens in an instant. Unless they are much stronger, no one would dare to call themselves the peak. However, there is no dispute that he is the peak Sengoku of the myriad races. After Lu Chen glanced at Golden Court's record, he smiled slightly. Alright. That person threw over 2 pills. This is a top-grade sacrificial spiritual pill and a top-grade blood invigorating pill. After taking it, meditate and cultivate for half an hour. It will help you recover. Lu Chen looked at this person in surprise. That person smiled. Since it is an exchange of pointers, I don't wish to fight with someone who is not in a good state. Lu Chen smiled and swallowed the pill before sitting down cross-legged. Half an hour later, Lu Chen stood up. Senior Golden Court has waited for a long time. Let's begin. Golden Court's strength was above Gu Ying's. Moreover, he majored in martial monk and sword controlling, and he minored in talisman arrays and medicine master. He was actually a 4th cultivator of true virtue. The two fought for hundreds of rounds, and it was actually hard to tell who was better. However, whether it was the myriad spirit race, the human race, the monster race, or the god-descendant race, everyone no longer cared about the outcome of these two super experts. The battle between them could be said to be brilliant beyond compare. The use of cultivation techniques, adaptations, changes in moves, and the use of spiritual qi could all be called classic. Too brilliant! Mu Long exclaimed sincerely. Both of them are good at both offense and defense. Their reactions are godly. It's simply too much for the eye to take in. Feng Wu also said, "This is a true competition between experts. It's just that I never would have thought that Lu Chen could actually be on par with Golden Court." Mu Long was just about to chat with his fellow sufferer, Yi Fan, when he turned his head. He saw Yi Fan watching the battle with unprecedented focus. In order to see the attack and defense of the two clearly, Yi Fan seemed to have activated some kind of state. His eyes turned purple, imprinting the two figures in his eyes. This guy is watching so seriously. This battle lasted for 3 hours. Even the defense array of the immortal arena was already full of holes. The two were actually still on par with each other. He can actually fight with Golden Court for 3 hours and not be at a disadvantage? Gu Ying watched the battle in shock. This guy's actual combat ability is already close to that of a venerable immortal. In the arena, the two retreated after exchanging blows. Golden Court laughed. Ha 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 ha, awesome! Solipsistic, it's been a long time since I've had such a great battle. Good, you're qualified to take my ultimate move. Lu Chen's eyes were also abnormally hot. This Golden Court was invisible, but after exchanging blows, he displayed extremely terrifying combat ability. His attacks were repeatedly neutralized by the other party, and his various strategies were quickly seen through by the other party. The two of them were simply evenly matched, like a zither meeting a soulmate. It was no exaggeration to say that Golden Court was at least a level stronger than Gu Ying. "I'll take your ultimate move." Lu Chen sneered and pulled out the god-slaying spear with his left hand. With both hands, he wielded a sword and a spear. Immortal technique, true fire-ice sword, polar ice explosion, void attack, god-slaying spear, heavenly fury spear. Judge Huang strengthened the array with his sword and roared, "Immortal technique, Imperial 9 swords as one." The three powerful moves collided. Instantly, all the images on the shadow stones turned white. Chapter 1333. Lu Chen attacked with his left and right hands at the same time, while Huang Ting used a super powerful killer move. The three moves collided, and the scene's spirit energy exploded. The two figures flew out at the same time and directly hit the defensive shield. Then, the two of them fell to the ground, motionless. Everyone held their breath. What exactly was going on with these two super experts? Who will stand up first? I don't know, but Solipsistic can actually compete with Huang Ting's proof and not be defeated directly. It's unbelievable. In terms of technique and strength, Solipsistic is not inferior to any 9-star Sengoku. The human race, monster race, god's descendant race, myriad spirit race, and perhaps even more people who were paying attention to this arena, were all anxiously watching the movements of the two. As for who would win and who would lose, as long as one of them could still stand up, the final result would be decided. Suddenly, Huang Ting's hand twitched, and everyone's heartstrings seemed to be pulled by that twitching finger. Or is Huang Ting stronger? Huang Ting tried to raise his head. He saw Lu Chen in the distance, who was motionless. He clenched his teeth and tried to get up, but just as he moved, he spat out a mouthful of blood, and his face turned pale. At this moment, Solipsistic also moved. Lu Chen looked up and saw Huang Ting. He knew that Huang Ting's situation was not much better than his own. But at this time, his spirit energy was exhausted, and his spirit core was in chaos. Not only could it not generate any more spirit energy, but Lu Chen was also in extreme pain. He tried to get up, but after struggling a few times, he also failed. Both of them seemed to be unable to stand up? Could it be a draw? It's very rare to see a draw in the immortal arena. It seems that these two can no longer defeat each other. Lu Chen looked at Huang Ting, gritted his teeth, and said weakly. Little Yuan, a huge white tiger suddenly appeared beside Lu Chen. Those who were not familiar with Lu Chen were already stunned at this time. Huang Ting was a powerhouse of the fourth cultivator of true virtue, and Solipsistic had displayed the skills of a fighter, a sword spirit, a spiritual energy explosion expert, and even an assassin in the previous battle. No one knew that Solipsistic had also learned the beast tamer skill. This Solipsistic has practiced 5 different professions? No way. Who has the energy and comprehension to practice 5 professions at the same time? It wasn't difficult to cultivate 5 skills, but the difficult part was being able to use each skill to such a terrifying degree. Xiao Yuan carefully put Lu Chen on its back, and then walked to Huang Ting. Don't hurt him, Lu Chen said weakly. Since its master had given the order, Xiao Yuan naturally wouldn't hurt Huang Ting. It just roared at Huang Ting. This roar was full of energy, which also meant that the sub-originator was in its peak state. Solipsistic was still alive, so his battle pets were still able to fight. However, Huang Ting couldn't move at all. Naturally, the winner of the match was Solipsistic. Huang Ting looked at Lu Chen, who was lying on the back of the white tiger. For a moment, he was confused. You're also in Beast Tamer? Fine. I'm unable to fight anymore. You can kill me or torture me as you wish. Lu Chen forced out a smile. You and I are just exchanging pointers. Why would I want to kill you? It's just that I'm the winner of this battle. All of a sudden, the audience burst into applause. There was no doubt that Lone Shadow and Huang Ting were both powerful warriors of the 10,000 spirits. Lu Chen's strength had been recognized by the 10,000 spirits after his 2 victories. At the same time, a Sengoku jumped onto the stage and walked toward Lu Chen. Wonderful, very wonderful. Solipsistic, congratulations. You've won the second round. I'll take on the next one. There was no time for rest in the arena. Even though Lu Chen was severely injured, the match had to go on. Someone took Huang Ting down. At the same time, the information of the new challenger was displayed on the screen. Lian Hua, a 9-star Sengoku, won 67 battles and 67 victories. Solipsistic, Huang Ting won all his matches because he didn't challenge me, Lian Hua said with a smile. Lu Chen looked at his opponent while lying on the back of the sub-originator. Regardless of whether Lian Hua was bragging or not, judging from his battle record, this guy should be stronger than Huang Ting. As for Su Ping, he was no longer able to fight against an opponent stronger than Huang Ting. Lian Hua looked at Lu Chen. It's a shame that Huang Ting beat me to it. Otherwise, I would have liked to fight you. It seems that I have to wait for the next time. All of a sudden, Lu Chen said, no need to wait for the next time. The Supreme Death Token has never been defeated, so it won't be defeated by me either. Lian Hua looked at Lu Chen in surprise. Solipsistic, I'm afraid you can't win in your current state. Lu Chen smiled. It's impossible for me to win, but don't forget that I'm also an animal controller. Little Beast, Furball. Two more guys appeared beside Lu Chen. One looked like a human being, and the other was a cute white mouse. Dad, you finally thought of us. Little Beast stared at Lian Hua. Hey, old man, my dad said that we must win this round, so you can't win. Furry's body rapidly grew in size as it roared at Lian Hua. Its pair of greedy eyes stared at Lian Hua. Lu Chen planned to send out the three beasts for the third round. Theoretically speaking, the three beasts were not as strong as the 9-star Sengoku, but they each had their own strength. If they could make full use of their strengths, and the sub-originator had just evolved, they might have a chance to win. Your animal controller is seriously injured. Are you going to defeat me with them alone? Lian Hua said with a smile. Without the help of their masters, the battle pet's strength will be reduced by at least half. Lu Chen replied with a smile. Who told you that they're all battle pets? Puppetry. Lu Chen directly used the puppetry skill to control the sub-originator. The entire deity arena was in an uproar after the skill was used. Once again, the solipsistic had refreshed people's understanding of him. Oh my god, this guy knows puppetry as well. How many classes has he practiced? Puppetry and animal controller? What other classes hasn't he practiced? Is he practicing all the classes? If he's practicing all the classes, he would have to have very high attributes in order to make full use of the advantages of his classes. If he's practicing multiple classes at the same time, there will be a slight pause when he switches between technique. However, the techniques of every class are horrifying, and he can switch between techniques as if he's lucky. I can't see any flaws at all. What's going on? I just want to know how a human emperor can be so strong. Speaking of which, do you know the two battle pets and the puppet? It was unknown who said this, but the surrounding people suddenly fell into silence. A high-star Sengoku suddenly said, if my guess is correct, that large rat should be the legendary heaven-swallowing god-slaying rat. The onlookers almost vomited blood. The heaven-swallowing god-slaying rat was only a legend, but it was already frightening enough. It was not hard to imagine how horrifying it was. There's also a humanoid battle pet. Why haven't I heard of it before? Only one kind of battle pet is humanoid. Besides, such battle pets can't exist in nature unless they're synthesized by hand. It's called the beast god. Beast god? Do you mean the beast god of battle pets? That puppet doesn't seem to be an ordinary white tiger puppet. Finally, the knowledgeable onlookers were stumped. Nobody knew the real identity of the beast god. Inside a residence in the mystic spirit's mystic realm, Qian-Ji was losing his mind. He knew that puppet. Idiot, that's not a white tiger puppet. That's the essence of nature. If it weren't for that guy, I would have killed the solipsistic. The beast god of battle pets, the legendary heaven-swallowing god-slaying rat, and the essence of nature. Why does the solipsistic have so many battle pets? With a ding, the third round began. The little beast moved its wrist and shook its head. Dad, Furball, it's not right to have one less enemy. Inside the training room in the Wonderland, a rhubarb dog moved its body to a more comfortable position and went back to sleep. Chapter 1334. At this moment, Lu Chen was thinking quickly, trying to come up with a countermeasure. In terms of strength, the three beasts were no match for Lian Hua. The gap between them was too big. However, it didn't mean that they had no chance of winning. The key was the suboriginator. For one thing, the suboriginator had just evolved and its strength had been greatly improved. For another, he was the one controlling the suboriginator. Most importantly, the characteristics of the suboriginator were still important. If the suboriginator appeared in its original form, some of the immortals would have recognized it. However, the suboriginator was in the shape of a white tiger. Except for Lu Chen's trusted subordinates, almost no one could recognize it. Who would think that a white tiger was the essence of heaven and earth when they saw it? Since they didn't know it was the essence of heaven and earth, they certainly wouldn't know that the white tiger could absorb attacks. Absorbing attacks was the only way to win the battle. Although the suboriginator was more resistant to elemental attacks after its evolution, it might not be able to resist the attacks of an opponent as powerful as Lian Hua. As for the Heaven's Might attacks, there were very few of them, but once they were launched, they would be extremely powerful and must be dealt with carefully. In short, this battle would be extremely difficult. Lu Chen whispered to the two beasts, "Little beast, little furball, you two distract Lian Hua. I'll absorb the damage and wait for an opportunity to attack." Little Beast and Little Furball knew the characteristics of the suboriginator very well and soon understood Lu Chen's intention. Lian Hua looked at the three beasts. At this moment, Lu Chen's original form was lying on the back of the suboriginator and couldn't fight for a while. "I didn't expect that one day I would fight against the beast god and the sky-swallowing god-slaying rats," Lian Hua exclaimed. "Those are legendary battle pets. I didn't expect that you would have two of them at the same time. Solipsistic, your battle pets are extraordinary, but unfortunately, they haven't taken shape yet," Lian Hua said, "so, you're far from enough to defeat me." Lu Chen noticed that Lian Hua only recognized Little Beast and Little Furball, but he didn't mention the suboriginator. This made him even more certain that Lian Hua didn't recognize the real identity of the suboriginator. The bell rang and the battle began. Little Hairy Ball activated the bloodline bond, and Little Critter added the black tortoise shield to the three beasts. Little Critter's cultivation method was similar to a halo skill, which directly increased Little Critter and Little Hairy Ball's spiritual attack, physical attack, and elemental affinity. At this moment, Xiao Yuan was standing in the front row, while the Little Beast and the Furball were standing behind him. Lian Hua was not arrogant either. He activated 4 enhancement skills. Judging from the fact that 3 enhanced his physical body and 1 enhanced his elemental affinity, this guy was a dual cultivator, a grandmaster of combat and an elemental mage. Lu Chen was secretly shocked. He was actually an elementalist. In that case, this guy's elemental attacks were probably very powerful. "Let's go." Little Beast let out a low roar as the image of a vermilion bird appeared behind him. Then, he soared into the sky. Not willing to be left behind, Little Furball ran towards Lian Hua. The suboriginator's position was very important. It was right between the Little Beast and the Little Furball, so it could support both of them at the same time. "Divine Beast? I'm sorry, but I've killed too many." A cold light flashed in Lian Hua's eyes, and a pair of battle axes appeared in his hands. Immortal technique. Spatial transition. Suddenly, Lian Hua appeared directly in the middle of the three beasts. This displacement skill had no time limit and was not something that could be avoided by reflexes. As soon as he appeared in the middle of the three beasts, a violent storm of spiritual power directly shook the three beasts hundreds of meters away. Just this displacement skill alone was enough to make many people gasp in amazement. Displacement can also shake the enemy back? It's worthy of being an immortal technique. An immortal technique is very rare. This technique is very fast and has a knockback effect. It's very useful for chasing and escaping. A Sengoku from the myriad spirit clan snorted, and said to his immortal hangers-on, Lien Hua's spatial transition is not that simple. You can continue to watch. Lien Hua was indeed a master. At a glance, he could see the tacit cooperation between the three beasts. He immediately shook the three beasts away and distanced them from each other, making it difficult for them to take care of each other. I'll destroy you first. Lien Hua turned to look at the suboriginator. Among the three beasts, the suboriginator was just a puppet. The solipsistic hangers-on used this puppet to command the battle. It was the core of the three beasts. Second transition. In a flash, Lien Hua had already arrived in front of the suboriginator. Immortal technique, Thunder Whirlwind Axe. The two axes in Lien Hua's hands, one with the power of thunder and the other with the element of wind, chopped the suboriginator fiercely. If the suboriginator took Lien Hua's elemental attack now, it would not be good for the suboriginator to hide its strength. However, the opponent's speed was too fast. Even though Lu Chun was controlling the suboriginator had no time to react. At this moment, behind Lien Hua, the fluffy ball roared. Roar. The fluffy ball caught up with Lien Hua's spatial transition? When did the fluffy ball become so strong? The fluffy ball and the suboriginator had followed Lu Chun in the myriad world maze and devoured countless monsters. Their strength had certainly improved, but it seemed that they had not reached the level of evolution. Wait, it seemed that the prey targeted by the fluffy ball had never escaped. It seemed that the fluffy ball's ability to lock onto its target had been improved. Now, even a powerful displacement skill like spatial transition couldn't be avoided. Before Lien Hua had time to think, the fluffy ball had already smashed down with its paw. Lien Hua was also shocked. How could the fluffy ball catch up with my displacement skill? However, Lien Hua was indeed a powerhouse. He quickly activated his defensive enhancement skill. Baron Heaven Golden Bell. However, the fluffy ball's paw directly scratched Lien Hua's body, and even the Thunder Whirlwind Axe was deflected. Taking advantage of Lien Hua's defense, Lu Chun hurriedly dodged and successfully avoided the attack. At the same time, a long wound appeared on Lien Hua's back. This, my defensive enhancement and physical strength can't even block a single claw? Lien Hua was shocked. The fluffy ball also seemed to be very surprised. Its paw only scratched Lien Hua's skin? This guy's defense is good. No, I have to do a few more paws. Lien Hua had never encountered such a situation. The fluffy ball's attack was too strange. He had to deal with it first. He turned around and swung his axe. Mountain Slash. This skill was not at the level of an immortal skill, but it was extremely fast and had a wide range. The sword chi was hundreds of meters long and swept directly toward the fluffy ball. However, the huge fluffy ball directly turned into a small white mouse, easily dodging the attack, and then ran away. Lien Hua was stunned. There was such a way to dodge the skill? Want to run? Mountain Slash. Dozens of spiritual force attacks madly rushed toward the fluffy ball. At this moment, the white tiger suddenly appeared in front of the fluffy ball, facing 49 spiritual force attacks. This white tiger can actually take dozens of my attacks without any injuries? Lien Hua's eyes widened, almost unable to believe what he saw. Even if it was not at the level of an immortal skill, according to his attribute, the attack power was extremely terrifying. Even a 9-star Sengoku would not dare to take it head-on. Before Lien Hua could react, the little beast not far away shouted in a low voice. Hey, old man, try this, Heavenly Flames Annihilation. Lien Hua snorted. You want to compete with me in elemental magic? You're not my opponent now. A black bead flew out from behind him. Immortal skill, Chaotic Dance of Wind and Thunder. Chapter 1335. While Lien Hua was fighting with the little beast, a white shadow suddenly appeared behind him. The little furball is here again. It could even catch up with Lian Hua using space leap, not to mention that Lian Hua didn't even move. The little furball jumped onto Lian Hua's shoulder and bit him. Ah! Lian Hua didn't expect to be bitten by the little furball to be so painful. He couldn't help but scream. He turned his head and saw that the little thing was gnawing on his shoulder. Seeing this scene, Lian Hua also gasped. He, a dignified immortal king, was being treated as food. What kind of battle pet was this? The sky-devouring god-slaying rat was no joke. Lian Hua didn't dare to be careless. Damn you! Get out of my way! A burst of spiritual energy suddenly blasted the little fur ball away. With one hand, Lian Hua controlled the classification chaotic dance to be in a stalemate with the little beast. With the other hand, he waved his sword at the little fur ball. However, the white tiger blocked all of his attacks. The next second, the little fur ball appeared on Lian Hua's calf and bit him. You! Lian Hua was about to go crazy. This guy was like a piece of sticky candy that he couldn't get rid of. If he was fighting the little beast alone, he was confident that he could defeat it in a second. However, his main focus was on the little white mouse. He couldn't run away. Kill. The white tiger was protecting it. He couldn't kill it. Lian Hua didn't expect that he would be so flustered by the three beasts. Lian Hua forced the little fur ball back again and flashed away. The little beast returned to the little fur ball and originator. The three beasts looked at Lian Hua. Lian Hua's back, calf, and shoulder were all injured. The little beast looked at Lian Hua with a smile. Old man, you're just SOSO. You're a 9-star Sengoku and you can't even kill us. Lian Hua gnashed his teeth in anger. He looked at his wounds and found that they couldn't heal. Blood was flowing out. I underestimated you, Lian Hua said bitterly, but don't be complacent. The show has just begun. With that, Lian Hua used Space Leap again and flashed to the middle of the three beasts. Originally, everyone thought that he was going to use the same trick again and scatter the three of them. However, they did not expect that this time, the force that erupted from Lian Hua's body was not the force of repulsion, but the force of attraction. The powerful suction pulled the three beasts to Lian Hua's side. Immortal technique, Heavenly Thorns Thunderstorm / At the same time that the three beasts were sucked to his side, Lian Hua launched his immortal technique at the same time. His whole body was drowned in lightning and wind, as if a tornado had appeared in the field. Countless lightning and sword chi were crazily cutting everything around him. It's the Heavenly Thorn Thunderstorm / a super strong continuous group killing technique. Gu Ying's eyes widened as he watched the battle. The wind element disrupts the opponent's spiritual power circulation, while the thunder element increases the damage output. Together with the heaven and earth battle axe, and the reverse direction of the space transition, it can be said to be an invincible existence. The Heavenly Thorn Thunderstorm / seems to be able to be used indefinitely, right? Huang Ting asked from the side. Well, unless Lian Hua's spiritual power is exhausted, he can continue to use it. Back then, I was defeated by this move. It's too incomprehensible. Huang Ting nodded. You are a sword spirit and an assassin. This move can indeed restrain opponents like you who take the flexible route. The space transition is one of the most advanced immortal techniques. Unless you can predict it, you can't avoid it. Together with the force of attraction, the opponent can't break free and will be swept up by the Heavenly Thorn Thunderstorm / Disrupting the opponent's spiritual power circulation is equivalent to making the opponent powerless. Being attacked indefinitely like this, it is indeed difficult to deal with without special means. On the battlefield, the tornado rushed straight to the sky. The three beasts were caught in the air and could not control themselves, let alone break free. Due to the disruption of the spiritual power circulation, the little beast's defense could not be used at all in the Heavenly Thorn Thunderstorm / It was the first to be seriously injured. The little furball's defense was extremely strong, but it could not withstand such endless attacks. The second one was unconscious. Now, only the originator, who was also Lu Chen, was conscious. In the fierce wind, Lu Chen managed to catch the little beast and the little furball and protect them. Countless spiritual power attacks hit him, and the spiritual attack of the originator increased crazily. However, at the same time, a large number of thunder and wind elements also hit him. While the originator absorbed a small amount of elemental power, it also suffered a large number of attacks. After a long time, the heavenly thorn thunderstorms finally stopped. The originator was directly thrown down from the air, holding the little furball and the originator tightly in its arms. Lian Hua looked at the three beasts and smiled. As I said, you are no match for me. I was careless and underestimated your strength, but now, everything is over. At this moment, the originator shook its head and stood up shakily. Seeing this scene, Lian Hua suddenly stopped mid-sentence. He stared intently at the white tiger. How can you hold on for so long? The originator directly spoke human language, but it was Lu Chen's voice. Don't you find that you have been bleeding? Lian Hua widened his eyes and looked at the several wounds on his body. Indeed, they had not healed yet. Instead, he was bleeding because of the strong combat skills. He seemed to realize something and activated the spiritual observation divine eyes. Carefully observing his blood, he suddenly saw a trace of spiritual energy flowing out of his blood and connecting with the three beasts. The little furball's bite was not a casual bite. The effect of the feast was to increase the opponent's vulnerability and transfer the opponent's chi and blood to the originator. As long as the wound was not healed, the connection would always exist. I couldn't hold on, but thanks to your essence and blood I survived. The originator stared at Lian Hua. Lian Hua slightly narrowed his eyes. So what? You are already at the end of your rope. At the end of my rope? No, you don't understand. Humph, you are still so stubborn. Lian Hua snorted. Well, let me see if you still have the strength to fight. Lian Hua spun the heaven-earth axe with both hands and smiled. To be honest, your puppet is the weakest among the three beasts. I won't give you any more chances. Let me destroy this puppet of yours. Immortal technique, Gale Thunder, World of Wind and Thunder. For a moment, the wind and clouds were surging in the immortal Colosseum, and the sky was filled with thunder and lightning. Everyone's elemental power was limited, but the elements between heaven and earth were infinite. The most powerful skills of elemental mages were all attacks launched by summoning the elements between heaven and earth. This time, the skill launched by Lian Hua had caused the sky and earth to change color. Lu Chen cursed in his heart. This guy not only practiced both physical and magical arts, but also integrated elements into his attack. If this move was a pure spiritual attack, he was confident that he could defeat it. But now, he had to try his best. Lian Hua flashed to the front of the originator and chopped down the heaven-earth axe with the power of thunder and hurricane. The originator was ready to attack. It stood up and gathered all the power in its body. Then, it pounced at Lian Hua with its two claws. At the moment when the two sides collided, the horrible collision of spiritual energy directly caused the spiritual energy to explode. The ground of the immortal Colosseum instantly collapsed. Thunderbolts bombarded the sub-originator, and Lian Hua also felt the impact of the incomparable spiritual power. How could it be so strong? Lian Hua looked at the originator in horror. Suddenly, he seemed to think of something. Impossible! It was not so strong at the beginning. Is it the essence of heaven and earth? Chapter 1336. The moment the two of them made contact, they were both sent flying. There was only one possibility for that to happen. The spiritual energy explosion caused by the collision of the two had already exceeded the limits of what the two of them could bear. The explosion of spiritual energy directly blew up the two defense arrays. The entire arena was like hell. The ground collapsed and the earth and stones were turned into ashes in the aftermath of the spiritual energy. When the storm subsided, everyone on the arena fell to the ground. After a long time, Lian Hua jumped up from the ground. Everyone was paying attention to the other side of the arena. The little beast, the furry ball, the originator, and Lu Chen, who was in the originator's arms. None of them could stand up. Did the solipsistic lose this round? Lian Hua breathed heavily. He wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and dragged his injured body toward the originator. The arena was in a mess. He walked around the huge pits and finally reached Lu Chen. Squeak, squeak, squeak. Lian Hua almost jumped up when he heard the squeak. He was still scared by the attack of the god-slaying rat. He was relieved when he saw that the furry ball was just moving and didn't get up. He looked at the furry ball and smiled weakly. Little guy, are you afraid that I'll hurt your master? The furry ball fell to the ground again. Lian Hua was finally relieved. At this time, Lu Chen had also woken up. He leaned against Xiao Yuan and looked at Lian Hua weakly. You won. Lian Hua suddenly sat down with a smile on his face. No, you won. Huh. Lu Chen frowned and looked at Lian Hua in surprise. Lian Hua said unhurriedly, You set up an arena in the 10,000 Spirits clan and defeated Lonely Shadow and Huang Ting in a row. You also injured me with only 2 battle pets and a puppet. If you were in your best state, I would have lost. Lian Hua was telling the truth. With the originator, the furry ball, the little beast, and Lu Chen in his best state, the 4 of them should be able to defeat Lian Hua if they tried their best. Lian Hua lay on the ground and took a deep breath. He turned his head and looked at Lu Chen. Sigh, I actually lost to the spirit of heaven and earth. I was careless. When it blocked my spiritual energy attack, I should have thought of it. Hey, speaking of which, where did you get those battle pet puppets? I didn't expect to run into 3 legendary battle pet puppets at the same time today. I don't know if I'm lucky or unlucky. Lu Chen couldn't help but laugh. Maybe you're just lucky. After a while, you'll meet more than just them. Lian Hua stared at Lu Chen with wide eyes. Don't tell me you haven't done your best. Oh right, you haven't used your blue bead yet. Lu Chen smiled faintly. That blue bead was a lie. I have already used all the means at my disposal, but I didn't expect that I would only win 2 matches. The individual strength of the Myriad Spirit Clan is indeed very strong. Are you praising yourself? Lian Hua asked again. Did you lie to Qianji about the blue bead? Lu Chen nodded. If you tell me now, won't it be useless? Those few clans aren't the only ones watching your battles. Qianji must be watching too. I know, but it doesn't matter. I've decided to let him live for a few more years. Lian Hua nodded. He should have returned to the Mystic Spirit Clan's immortal region. As long as Hong Yu protects him, it won't be easy for you to kill him. Waiting for a few more years isn't a bad choice. I'm so tired. Lian Hua sighed. I haven't been this tired in a long time. Lu Chen smiled. Don't fall asleep. You might not be able to wake up. I won't. Solipsistic, I'll have a fair fight with you next time. But I have to remind you that the next time you see me, I might not be Sengoku anymore. Lu Chen looked at Lian Hua in surprise. Don't tell me you're going to break through to the immortal region? Lian Hua smiled. I've watched your battles. I've also gained some inspiration from your battles. I'll definitely be able to break through this time. At this moment, a lone figure walked onto the stage. He checked on Lian Hua's injuries and then looked at Lu Chen. The 2 of you seem to be having a good chat. Lian Hua glanced at the lone figure. Hey, lone figure, do you want to join us? TSK, I can still stand. Who wants to be like the 2 of you who can't even move? The lone figure said in disdain. But who's going to win this round? Him. Lu Chen and Lian Hua spoke at the same time. The lone figure looked at the two of them in confusion. What's the meaning of this? You've developed feelings for each other just from chatting? Lone figure, do you believe that I'll help you improve your battle record after I recover? Lien Hua frowned and looked at the lone figure. It'll take me a bit of effort to defeat Huang Ting, but against you, I'm a natural counter to you. The lone figure instantly cowered. Don't. I was just kidding. Lien Hua, you should hurry up and break through. Don't always stay in Sengoku, okay? Lu Chen looked at the two of them from the side. I say, why don't the immortals of your myriad spirit clan look like immortals at all? The lone figure smiled and said, I've already told you that the myriad spirit clan is powerful and doesn't need to sever ties with the mortal world. Therefore, some of the tempers of mortals have been brought to the seventh heaven. Besides, it's fine if others say that our myriad spirit clan doesn't look like immortals, but what right do you have to say that? You're the king of men. Lu Chen took a deep breath. Faced with the lone figure's questioning, even with his glib tongue, he was rendered speechless. The lone figure looked at the two of them again and thought for a while before saying, Forget it, let's call it a draw. In the third round, Lu Chen and Lien Hua tied. Lu Chen was now seriously injured and couldn't get up. It was definitely impossible for him to continue defending the ring. Then this time, the Death God Token expedition stopped at the Myriad Spirit Clan's immortal realm. After the final result was out, Yi Fan frowned. A draw? Wasn't this the usual outcome of the banker? He had indeed only invested a few hundred spirit tablets, but he had borrowed a large sum of money and asked Sister Jirer and the others to help him bet. Now, Jirer Linglong, Mulong, and Feng Wu's 10 million worth of assets had disappeared in an instant. Feng Wu's Wudong Grotto Heaven had also been sold. The little beast's money had also been used up. Jirer and Linglong were also all in. I say, Yi Fan. After a long while, Mulong turned his head and looked at Yi Fan with empty eyes. This doesn't make sense. Could it be that we lost because you invested in our bet? Jirer suddenly thought of this possibility. That's right. Yi Fan must have lost the few hundred spirit tablets he bet. And since he invested in our bet, there's no way we could have won. Feng Wu said in shock. I've seen bad gambling luck, but I've never seen such bad luck. Anyone who has anything to do with you will lose everything. Mulong shook his head. I'm worth more than 10 million, but I've been reduced to such a state where I can only live under someone else's roof. I, Yi Fan, suspect that you were sent by Lu Chen to trick us. Yi Fan faced everyone's accusation and said meekly, You can't blame me for this. Isn't this something that everyone discussed and decided together? Sigh, the little beast's 150,000 spirit tablets are gone. Sister Jirer, Sister Linglong, Senior Mulong, and Senior Feng Wu each lent me 100,000 spirit tablets. I'm now in debt of 550,000 spirit tablets. I only have 50,000 spirit tablets in total. How on earth did I lose so much that I owe 550,000 spirit tablets? Feng Wu sighed and tugged at Mulong's sleeve. Well, ahem, can you talk to Lu Chen and ask him if he can let me stay in the immortal spirit grotto heaven for the time being? There's no place to stay now. Chapter 1337. Lu Chen, Little Beast, and the others were taken to Saint Martial Venerable's abode, where they were treated by specialists. 3 days later, Little Beast, Little Furball, and Origin were all alive and kicking. Lu Chen had almost recovered. Du Kuang, Venerable Immortal, is looking for you. Guing pushed the door open and entered. Guing was no longer as expressionless as before and spoke much more casually. Huang Ting, Lien Hua, and the others are all right? Lu Chen asked. If I'm all right, they must be all right. Gu Ying's gaze was fixed on Little Furball. At this moment, Little Furball was lying on Lu Chen's shoulder like a pet raised by someone out of boredom. You put the sky-devouring god-slaying rat on your shoulder like this? Won't it bite you? It's said that the sky-devouring god-slaying rat eats everything it sees. 2 days ago, when Lian Hua was in a coma, he was mumbling something like, "The god-slaying rat is coming, run." Lu Chen thought that Lian Hua must have been scared of being bitten by Little Furball, which had left a psychological shadow. Squeak, squeak, squeak. Little Furball bared its teeth at Guing, who hurriedly stepped back. Okay, I won't say anything bad about you. I'm scared of you, okay? Lu Chen smiled. Little Furball has been with me since the beginning. Don't worry, it won't hurt me. After thinking for a while, Lu Chen decided to put the 3 beasts away first. As the 2 of them talked, they arrived in front of a unique pavilion. Saint Martial Venerable was already sitting there with a wine pot, wine cups, and some fruits on the table. Seeing Lu Chen come over, Saint Martial Venerable invited him to sit down. "How's your recovery?" "It's nothing serious," Lu Chen said. "Venerable Immortal, when can I go to the 10,000 spirits ancient realm?" "Don't worry, drink with me first." After saying that, Xing Wu poured a glass of wine for Lu Chen. "Come, let me toast you first. Your battle really opened my eyes. Senior Immortal, you flatter me." Lu Chen raised his cup, and the 2 of them toasted each other. "That's right, Lone Tyrant. Your battle pet and puppet aren't ordinary at all." Lu Chen didn't know why the Venerable Immortal brought this up, so he didn't answer. Xing Wu smiled. "Don't worry. If I wanted to harm them, I would have done it while you were unconscious. I just wanted to tell you that they won't be able to accompany you to the 10,000 spirits ancient realm, including your ghostly pet. Only you can go." Lu Chen frowned and asked, "Why not? I just don't summon them." Xing Wu smiled and shook his head. "Only one soul can enter the 10,000 spirits ancient realm at a time. Even the weapon spirit has to be temporarily sealed before entering. Even the artifact spirits are like this, let alone the battle pet, ghost pet, and that special puppet spirit of heaven and earth. They all have very strong soul power. In short, that's your own experience." "Well," Lu Chen frowned. Xing Wu looked at Lu Chen and said with a smile, "If you don't trust me, I can give you 2 choices. First, you can send them back to the human immortal domain. Second, I can send them to the Divine Beast Island to gain experience." "The Divine Beast Island? What's that place?" "The Divine Beast Island is a place where all the races have agreed to train and select battle pet. It is divided into many levels, with level 1 being the weakest and level 9 being the strongest. Countless divine beasts and magical beasts compete on each Divine Beast Island. Level by level, the losers may be directly swallowed, or their corpses may be exposed in the wilderness. After thousands of years, their corpses become the unique resources of the divine beasts there. The winners will go to the next level of the Divine Beast Island. Since every master has different requirements for their battle pets, the divine beasts can only leave the Divine Beast Island when they reach a certain level." After hearing that, Lu Chen felt that the Divine Beast Island was simply a holy land for small beasts, fur balls, and originators to level up. Xing Wu pushed aside a fruit that looked like an orange on earth and said, "There's one thing I have to make clear. Solipsistic, the most special one among your battle pets, is the heaven-swallowing god-killing rat. It will be a disaster if it grows up. So, I can only let your battle pets stay there for 3 years at most. You'll be able to leave the 10,000 spirits ancient realm by then. 3 years is the best time for a top divine beast to reach the 6th level of the Divine Beast Island." While they were chatting, Xing Wu handed him a few pieces of orange. This explosive orange is delicious, sweet, and juicy. It's a specialty of the 10,000 spirit. Do you want to try it? Thank you, Master Immortal." Lu Chen took the orange and thought about it. His lips touched the orange. As soon as he touched it, the orange exploded, which startled Lu Chen. "Shoot! Why did the orange explode on its own?" "Ha ha ha ha! I told you it's the explosive orange. This orange has a bad temper. Lu Chen shook his head with a smile. The Jiutian 10,000 spirits ancient realm was full of strange things. Solipsistic, have you made up your mind? Lu Chen thought about it and said, I'll let them go to the Divine Beast Island. Xing Wu wasn't surprised and continued to push the orange. Okay. I'll come to you this afternoon. Sure enough, Gu Ying came again in the afternoon. This time, he put on the armor that he borrowed from somewhere and said to Lu Chen as soon as he entered, Solipsistic, Master Celestial asked me to take you to the 10,000 spirits ancient realm. Your battle pets, cough cough. Give them to me first. I'll send them to the Divine Beast Island one by one. Aren't they together? Lu Chen asked. Of course not. Not everyone has several battle pets. They can't even afford to raise one. You can't let him fight your 3 battle pets with 1 battle pet, right? I'll take them to the 3 entrances. Lu Chen was a bit worried, but then he remembered that the little beast had to be trained to become stronger. Okay. Gu Ying soon sent the little beast and the originator away. When it came to the furball, it turned on its status and said warily, You told the god-slaying rat not to eat me. Lu Chen couldn't help but laugh. You're a Sengoku anyway. Do you have to be so scared? Of course I'm scared. Master Celestial said that I can't hurt them. If this guy targets me, I won't be able to run away, and I can't attack him. I'll be killed for sure, won't I? Lu Chen shook his head and tapped the furball's head. Furball, did you hear that? Bear with it for now. There's food on the Divine Beast Island. Squeak, squeak, squeak. The furball grabbed Lu Chen's finger with its paw and put it in its mouth. It's going to eat you. It's going to eat its master. Gu Ying was scared out of his wits. However, the furball only pretended to bite Lu Chen's finger, as if it were just trying to scare Gu Ying. All right, don't scare it. The furball rubbed Lu Chen's hand and jumped onto Gu Ying's shoulder. Gu Ying's neck seemed to be stiff as he stiffly activated the teleportation rune. A moment later, Gu Ying finally came back. Damn, I finally sent it away. Solipsistic, you don't know what kind of horrifying creature you put on your shoulder every day. Some ancient books say that the sky-swallowing rat can swallow the Jiutian. Lu Chen shook his head. He already knew that. Look at you. Let's go. Take me to the eternal forest ancient realm. Chapter 1338. Along the way, Gu Ying introduced the Myriad Spirit Ancient Realm to Su Mo. The Myriad Spirit Ancient Realm is the foundation of the Myriad Spirit tribe. There are 3,000 worlds in the realm. Of course, this is just an estimate. No one knows how many worlds there are. Lu Chen quickly interrupted him. Is it the same as the Myriad World Maze? It's completely different, Gu Ying said confidently. How should I put it? The worlds in the Myriad Spirit Ancient Realm are both real and illusory. If you're lucky enough to enter a world in the Myriad Spirit Ancient Realm, you'll experience a reincarnation cycle from the time you were a baby. Lu Chen's eyes widened. From the time I was a baby? Yes, don't worry. Even if you experience 100 years in a world, it's only a year in the outside world. In the process of reincarnation, no matter what you gain or lose, you'll only be able to strengthen your physical body. Gu Ying looked at Lu Chen's dumbfounded face and explained further. For example, if you obtain a cultivation technique, you will forget it and lose your equipment. However, the effect of your cultivation spirit core to increase your level will be retained. Lu Chen did not fully understand. After all, he had never encountered such a strange cultivation method. He asked, What about my memories of those people and things? Speaking of which, I have to remind you. Gu Ying grabbed Lu Chen and said seriously, In the Myriad Spirit Ancient Realm, being able to enter a world is a huge opportunity. Most people who enter the Ancient Realm do not have the chance to experience a reincarnation cycle. However, if you have the chance to experience a reincarnation cycle, it'll be a brand new life. You can be a good person or a bad person. You can have both parents and be born in a rich family. You can also be born in a strange species, Devil's Denver. You can't choose the people around you and the environment, but you'll be affected by these people and the environment. In the ancient realm, physical injuries and even death won't cause any harm to your body. However, cultivation can increase the grade of your spirit core. Most importantly, every reincarnation cycle will completely change your Tao heart. This is the only thing that can hurt your physical body. As he spoke, Guiying took out 3 cyan-colored medicinal pills. This is? Lu Chen asked. This is the ancient spirit heavenly crossing pill. It can help you forget all your memories in an ancient realm world. Gu Ying handed the heavenly crossing pill to Lu Chen. Once you enter the ancient realm, take this. When you feel that the memories of the ancient realm are affecting your continued cultivation, use your spiritual power and it will automatically break down and take effect. It's no longer effective outside of the ancient realm. Lu Chen lowered his head and kept the heaven crossing pill. Solipsistic, you have to remember one thing. Don't use it unless you have no other choice. Why? Lu Chen asked curiously. The heaven crossing pill won't take away your spirit core's upgrade, but it will make you forget your comprehension of a certain skill in that world. In the ancient realm, we can't become immortals. That way, there will be, what's it called again, a transmigration paradox. I don't know how it works, but the most we can do is cultivate to the human king realm. That's why, in reality, increasing one's cultivation level is secondary. On the contrary, the ancient realm contains thousands of worlds. The biggest improvement is in martial arts comprehension, which is the concept. For example, sword intent, spear intent, battle pet connection, and so on. That's why it's best not to use the heaven crossing pill. Otherwise, you'll miss out on the most important part of your harvest. Lu Chen nodded and remembered what Gu Ying said. Soon, the two arrived in front of an ancient temple. Standing in front of the ancient temple, Gu Ying checked Lu Chen's condition. The artifact spirit was sealed, the equipment and storage rings were all stored in the bag, and the bag was sealed. Even Little Green was sealed and in a deep sleep. At that moment, Lian Hua and Huang Ting appeared from the nearby forest and walked toward Lu Chen and Gu Ying. Solipsistic. Lu Chen looked at the two in surprise. Why are you here? Are you also going to the ancient realm? Huang Ting smiled. We can't go to the ancient realm for the time being. I've already experienced 3 reincarnations here. In order to preserve my comprehension, I didn't use the heaven crossing pill. If I go through another reincarnation, I'm afraid my mind will split. Lian Hua shook his head. You've gone through 3 times and I've gone through 4. The next time we go, it'll be at least 100 years later. Let's first sort out the messy memories in your mind. Gu Ying said, Solipsistic, the celestial sovereign only gave you 3 years. You can only experience 3 reincarnations at most. Although it's not as good as some of the 10,000 spirit tribe members, it's still taking into consideration your upper limit. Lian Hua nodded. That's true. My 4 reincarnations are also divided into 3. Don't say that. Even in the 10,000 spirit ancient realm, you might not be able to enter the ancient realm. If you say too much, Lone Kuang might feel pressured. Huang Ting looked at the confused Lu Chen and smiled. The ancient realm is something that can only be encountered by chance. Let nature take its course. Lu Chen smiled and nodded. Oh right, Lone Kuang. Lian Hua suddenly said in a serious tone. It's said that there's a very low probability of the mirror realm existing in the ancient realm. You must not enter it. Not to mention whether you can return to the real world, just the memories of 100 reincarnations are enough to make you go crazy. Gu Ying rolled his eyes at Lian Hua. The probability of entering the ancient realm is already very low. It's almost impossible for him to encounter the mirror realm. In the past few thousand years, none of our tribe members have encountered it. Why are you telling him this? Even if the probability is low, I still have to tell him, Lian Hua said. Lu Chen smiled. Although he did not fight all 5 matches in the 10,000 spirit tribe and had to stop chasing after Qianji, at least he got to know these interesting people from the 10,000 spirit tribe. Everything had been instructed. Huang Ting and Lian Hua looked at Lu Chen. Solipsistic, we have to go into seclusion for the next 3 years. The war of the 10,000 races might not be far away. Although we don't want to participate, we still have to increase our strength to ensure our safety. Lu Chen nodded his head in understanding. Solipsistic, 3 years later, let's have a fair fight again. Let me remind you again, you might meet a senior immortal at that time. Lian Hua said with a smile. Lu Chen smiled faintly. The one you met should still be a human king. All right, thank you for sending me off. I'm leaving. Good luck. Gu Ying, Huang Ting, and Lian Hua cupped their fists. With that, Lu Chen turned around and entered the ancient temple. Looking at Lu Chen's back, Huang Ting suddenly said, Hey, I suddenly thought of something. It's impossible to reach the immortal realm in the ancient realm. Do you guys think it's possible for a human king to reach the immortal realm? Who knows? That guy was a weirdo in the 7th heaven. Who knows? He might have a different situation in the ancient realm. 3 years. I really hope that he can enter the ancient realm. That way, 3 years later, Lone Quang might be able to fight with me. Lian Hua's eyes were filled with longing. Huang Ting frowned. 3 years. Who knows how chaotic the outside world is? Solipsistic, I can only wish you luck. Chapter 1339. The door of the ancient temple was like a teleportation whirlpool. When Lu Chen entered the ancient temple, he realized that it was not a temple at all. He was standing in the vast starry sky. There were countless stars in front of him that were moving toward him at an extremely fast speed. This is the 10,000 spirit ancient realm? Lu Chen frowned. What is this starlight? Lu Chen could not help but curse the 3 guys in his heart. Why didn't they talk about the most common things after such a long introduction? While they were talking, the starlight was already shooting toward Lu Chen. The starlight arrived in front of him in an instant. Lu Chen realized that the starlight was not as small as it looked from afar. The starlight was actually thousands of miles in diameter. Lu Chen was so small that he was not even worth mentioning in front of the starlight. Damn this! I can't dodge it! The starlight instantly drowned Lu Chen. However, Lu Chen was not hurt at all. Instead, he felt that the surrounding area was filled with surging spiritual energy. This is a spiritual source? Lu Chen was astonished. The huge starlight came quickly and left quickly. However, after it left, Lu Chen could still feel that the surrounding spiritual energy was extremely abundant. Oh right, the Saint Martial Celestial Venerable said that cultivating in the 10,000 spirit ancient realm would take at least 3 years and at most 3 lifetimes. That means that cultivating here would be effective even without entering the ancient realm. Could it be because of these starlight balls? Lu Chen suddenly understood. The reason why Gu Ying and the others did not mention the starlight balls was because these starlight balls could not be dodged or chased. They could only passively let the starlight balls pass through them. The starlight balls carried a huge amount of spiritual energy, which was very beneficial to cultivation. If I'm not wrong, some of these starlight balls are used in the ancient realm, but I can't catch up to them at all, so naturally, I can't say that I'm going to search for the ancient realm. As expected, this is something that can only be encountered by chance. Forget it, I'll cultivate here first. Since the ball of light did not harm Lu Chen sat down cross-legged and activated celestial demon symbiosis, entering the state of anatta and spiritual energy. The previous ball of light had just passed by, so the spiritual energy around Lu Chen was extremely abundant. Even the spiritual energy in the immortal spirit grotto heaven could not compare to this. Lu Chen then focused on cultivating. The starry river was filled with specks of starlight. Beams of light repeatedly passed through Lu Chen's body, leaving behind a large amount of spiritual energy. Lu Chen maintained an extremely high concentration of spiritual qi around him. He was also crazily absorbing the surrounding spiritual qi. In the Milky Way, time became a concept that was dispensable. Lu Chen immersed himself in cultivating and absorbing spiritual energy. He felt as if he had become one with the galaxy. According to his current cultivation speed, Lu Chen could increase his spiritual energy by 400,000 a day, which was 12 million a month. Now that he was no longer in the 10,000 spirit ancient realm, the 10 wings had disappeared, but the creation bloodline was still there. Rank 2, Level 1 creation bloodline gave Lu Chen a 60% increase in his attributes. More than 3 months later, without the addition of the 10 wings, Lu Chen's spiritual power broke through 250 million. His spirit core's spiritual energy had reached 150 million. He exited the state of cultivation and looked at his badge. He had reached the level of the 14-star Savage King. Not 15 stars yet? Lu Chen frowned slightly. If his mental cultivation technique was one level higher, it could increase his cultivation speed. Unfortunately, ever since he had passed the tribulation, his mental cultivation technique could not be upgraded, even if his spiritual energy had reached 150 million. The celestial demon mixed element mental cultivation technique needs the next major realm, but where would I get the next major realm? Lu Chen was speechless. Forget it, it's my fault that I didn't succeed in passing the tribulation. If I can't upgrade it, then so be it. My current cultivation speed is much faster than usual, which is already very good. After resting for a while, Lu Chen looked at the starlight that passed through his body again and again. They did indeed provide him with an endless supply of spiritual energy. It was just that he didn't know how many balls of light flew by, but Lu Chen still hadn't encountered the legendary, ancient realm. If he just cultivated here, it would take him 3 years. At his current speed, he would only be able to upgrade 2 to 3 stars at most. Now, he was not even sure that he could defeat a 9-star Sengoku like Lian Hua. Even if he upgraded 2 stars, no, 3 stars, he might not even be able to defeat a Celestial Prime. Sengoku to Celestial Prime, there was a qualitative change. But he only had a quantitative change. 3 stars might not be as strong as a Sengoku who had broken through to Celestial Prime. Sigh, with my luck, I don't think I can meet one. Lu Chen shook his head and sighed. 1 cycle of reincarnation was equivalent to 100 years of time. Forget it, if I can't meet one, then so be it. There's no point in being anxious. I have to at least ensure that my strength can be greatly improved in these 3 years of cultivation. After more than a month, Lu Chen's spiritual energy reached 160 million, and he finally became a 15-star Savage King. After more than a year, Lu Chen's spiritual energy reached a terrifying 320 million, and he only became a 16-star Savage King. There were still 18 months left, but according to this trend, Lu Chen would leave the 10,000 spirit ancient realm before he could even upgrade to 17 stars. In the immortal arena, a crazy woman with a graceful figure wearing a black ghost mask appeared. When the crazy woman first appeared, she would inevitably choose opponents who were 2 stars higher than her. Even for a true immortal, it was very difficult to fight 2 stars higher than her. Therefore, every time she competed, she would give it her all and fight until the last moment. But after a few months, she began to challenge opponents who were 3 stars higher than her, and even some famous experts. This woman was very strange. Every time she was seriously injured, or even on the verge of death, she would appear in the immortal arena again within 2 days. And if she won a battle easily, she would continue to fight, and every time she would exhaust herself. In 2 years, she had fought more than 500 battles in the immortal arena. Someone had paid attention to her record. Wood Mansion's Joe Air, 5-star true immortal, 548 battles, 307 wins, 241 losses. Even so, she still won more than she lost, and she had accumulated more than 60 planet coordinates in her hands. Needless to say, this crazy woman was Wood Mansion's Joe Air. She would occasionally come to see Yi Fan and the others, but she would only stay for a short while and then leave quickly. Feng Wu and Mu Long had moved to the Immortal Spirit Grotto Heaven. The two of them had lost all their money in the last gamble, and now they could only stay in the Immortal Spirit Grotto Heaven temporarily. However, with 2 great immortal kings holding down the fort, Li Shang and the others wouldn't encounter any more trouble. Yi Fan had already passed the 3rd level of the Special Cultivation Tower, and the cultivation time on the 3rd level was 15 times faster. Unfortunately, it could only be opened for 3 days a month. But fortunately, it could accommodate many people. Every time the 3rd level was opened, Mu Long, Yi Fan, Ling Long, and Feng Wu would cultivate there. When the time on the 3rd level was used up, they would go to the 2nd level. When the time on the 2nd level was used up, they would go to the 1st level. The 1st level was basically guaranteed to be open all year round. In short, everyone made full use of the Special Cultivation Tower. Li Shang and the others did not need to cultivate, and they took good care of the herb gardens. Gu Yen said that they could not help much, but at least they could help relieve some of the financial pressure. After all, whether it was Mu Long, Feng Wu, Yi Fan, or Ling Long, they were all poor. Chapter 1340. The 3rd floor of the Divine Beast Island. On the Divine Beast Island filled with divine beasts and demonic beasts, there was a human man in the forest. At this time, the man picked up a wooden coffin and waved it in boredom. "Didn't you say it would be difficult? So boring. I can't even see the shadow of a divine beast. This floor is so boring." The little beast squatted on the ground and drew something on the ground with a small wooden stick. After a while, many people appeared on the ground. Dad Lu Chen, Little Furball who was eating, Little Yuan who was in the form of a white tiger, Big Yellow who was sleeping, Big Sister Green who was grinding medicine, and Yi Fan who was betting. The little beast looked at the portrait on the ground and silently shed tears. In the past, even if it was separated from Lu Chen, at least it had companions. Now, for this Divine Beast Island, the Divine Martial Immortal separated them. Too much. When I go out, I must find a chance to teach that Divine Martial Immortal Senior a lesson. The little beast angrily threw away the wooden coffin and messed up the portrait on the ground. Roar! A roar came from afar. The little beast stood up and looked in the direction of the sound. "Dad, when I go out this time, I have to kill Qianji and deal with the Myriad Races War. No, I have to improve my strength." Thinking of this, the little beast rushed toward the direction of the sound. If Lu Chen was here, he would be amazed by the little beast's speed. It was faster than before. Another Divine Beast Island, the 4th floor. It was late at night. The moon hung high in the sky. Under the moonlight, corpses piled up like a mountain in a cave, almost covering the entrance of the cave. From time to time, screams could be heard from the cave, making the night even more gloomy and terrifying. After a while, the screams in the cave finally stopped, but the smell of blood became stronger. Not long after, a black shadow that was dozens of meters long appeared from the entrance of the cave, sprinkling on the terrifying mountain of corpses. As the owner of the shadow walked out, its shadow became shorter and shorter. Finally, a small white mouse jumped out from the huge pile of corpses. The little beast held a piece of meat in its hand and sat alone on the mountain of corpses, gnawing on the meat while looking at the moonlight. Squeak, squeak, squeak. "When can I go out?" The food here is almost finished. I will go to the next floor tomorrow. Similarly, on the fourth floor of a certain divine beast island, a group of divine beasts and magical beasts were crazily attacking a white tiger. The white tiger wasn't too big, but its body was well proportioned, and its muscles were full of power. At this moment, it was collecting yellow pearls formed from the regrets of some mythical beasts, completely ignoring the attacks of a large group of demons and ghosts behind it. Not only could these attacks not hurt it, but it could also absorb the attacks, and a part of it would be converted into its attack bonus. Boss should be able to use these beast core fossils. These beast core fossils contained much more spiritual energy than ordinary beast cores, and they also contained some elemental power. Of course, the little critter could use it as well, but he would make it himself. Moreover, the elemental power wouldn't be of much use to the little critter, so it was better to give it to the boss. The three beasts were all training on their respective god-beast islands. At the same time, another person was also very busy. Qianji wanted He Yan to speed up the myriad tribe immortal battle. It was just that there were too many races involved. Even though they had already won enough support from the other races, they still couldn't do anything. It was just that this was an extraordinary matter, and it was not something that could be completed in 2 or 3 years. After a busy day, He Yan returned to the Qianji Grotto Heaven and knocked on the door of a training room. Qianji, Hong Yu the Celestial said that it's useless to be anxious now. It will take at least 3 to 4 years. He Yan said as he leaned against the wall. There was no response from the training room, and He Yan was not surprised. He turned around and prepared to leave. At this moment, the stone door of the cultivation room directly turned into nothingness. This is the stone door of the training room. It's the most sturdy stone door, and it's even protected by a defensive array. He Yan's eyes widened in disbelief. Instantly, a cloud of black fog charged towards He Yan. He Yan did not expect that and was unable to dodge in time. After the black fog destroyed the special stone door, it disappeared again. A person walked out of the training room and looked at He Yan. Qianji. He Yan looked at the person in disbelief. Is the sky-devouring dark tide completed? The person who walked out of the training room was Qianji. Qianji smirked. Solipsistic, my sky-devouring dark tide is finally completed. For the past 2 years, Qianji could not sleep at night whenever he thought of the guy who entered the 10,000 spirit ancient realm. Now, he finally had the confidence to do so. Ha ha ha, solipsistic, I wish you were right in front of me right now. That way I can kill you with my own hands. Ha 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 ha. He Yan looked at Qianji, who was laughing maniacally, and said softly, "Congratulations. Now, if Lone Tyrant really comes to us one day, we'll be able to give him a surprise." He Yan's words hit the nail on the head. At this moment, He Yan was even more pleased with himself. Everyone says that Lone Tyrant is strong in battle. If people see that I killed him with my own hands, they will definitely be shocked. Qianji, are you confident that you can defeat him now? After all, Lone Tyrant has also entered the myriad spirit ancient realm. If he can enter the ancient realm once or twice, his strength might increase by leaps and bounds in 2 reincarnations every 200 years. Of course, Qianji said angrily. It was his first instinct. But after a while, Qianji calmed down and said, "So what if he went through 3 reincarnations in 3 years? The War of the 10,000 Races has entered its final stage. In less than 3 years, the 10,000 races will start the War of the 10,000 Races against the human race. So what if he is strong? Is it possible that he can fight against the 10,000 races celestial sovereigns alone?" Qianji frowned. "However, I am looking forward to killing him with my own hands. This way, I will have to strengthen my control of the sky-devouring dark tide. Also, if I can fully master the 3 heavenly spells of the sky-devouring dark tide control skill, no matter how strong he is, He will not be my opponent. He Yin, don't be careless about the war of the 10,000 races. I will look for Hong Yu and ask him to let me enter the Xianling Tower to cultivate. Although the 10,000 spirits ancient realm is mysterious, the benefits are not stable. The Xianling Tower is definitely more stable than the 10,000 spirits ancient realm. He Yin nodded. Okay. Lu Chen knew nothing about the outside world. He only had one thing on his mind, which was to completely immerse himself in cultivation. In the state of selflessness, he had become a part of the galaxy. He was one with the spiritual qi, one with the galaxy, and one with the heaven and earth. Rays of light passed through his body, leaving behind a large amount of spiritual qi. Another half a year passed. Lu Chen no longer had any hope of entering the ancient realm. He only hoped that he would not waste this opportunity to cultivate in the 10,000 spirits ancient realm. Suddenly, a ball of starlight passed through Lu Chen's body. However, this ball of starlight was different from the previous ones. This ball of starlight did not disappear. Instead, it enveloped Lu Chen. Almost at the same time, Lu Chen was forced out of the state of selflessness. Then, an unprecedented dizziness came over him. It was as if he had fallen into a bottomless abyss. Chapter 1341. When Lu Chen opened his eyes, he was in a state of shock. Perhaps stupefied wasn't enough to describe Lu Chen's current feelings. When he saw an old woman with a smiling face full of wrinkles carrying his naked body out, Lu Chen's brain was actually in a state of shutdown. Master, master, you've given birth. It's a boy. The old woman shouted excitedly. Madam, madam, it's a boy. A pale and haggard woman glanced at Lu Chen and revealed a gratified smile. Aya, why isn't this child crying? The midwife suddenly realized the problem. Another old woman hurriedly said, quickly hit him a few times. Don't choke on the amniotic fluid. Lu Chen was at a loss as he felt himself being lifted up by someone. Soon, his buttocks were fiercely slapped a few times. It was very painful, but for some reason, Lu Chen couldn't activate Celestial Demon Symbiosis or Dragon God Protection. Even the strength of his physical body was extremely weak. However, Lu Chen felt that he could still endure it. Why isn't he crying? Don't tell me he's a mute. Hit him a little harder. He must cry out. Slap, slap, slap. A few extremely crisp sounds rang out again. Lu Chen only felt that his buttocks were about to be smashed open. I fought hundreds of rounds with a 9-star Sengoku and didn't even frown. In the end, I can't even fight back in front of a midwife? What was even worse was that now, should she cry. In any case, I'm a 16-star human king. It's a little too embarrassing to cry. If I don't cry, it seems that as long as I don't cry, I'll have to endure a few more hits. Seeing that the child wasn't crying, the haggard woman who had just calmed down became anxious again. Don't tell me he's really 10 mutes. The midwife's movements were as fast as lightning. Lu Chen couldn't see her techniques clearly at all. Moreover, her attacks were extremely swift and fierce. Lu Chen only felt that her attacks were far above Lian Hua's. Lu Chen was shocked. This midwife couldn't be some venerable celestial, right? So strong. After enduring a few waves, Lu Chen couldn't hold it in anymore and burst into tears. Only then did everyone breathe a sigh of relief. Fortunately, it's not a mute, it's not a mute. The midwife shouted outside the door. Master, I'll bring the child out right away. Please wait a moment. After saying that, she did not forget to tease the baby in her arms. I've never seen such a stubborn child. This little guy's temper is really stubborn. I almost thought you were a little mute. Look at his little eyes, he's like a little adult. He'll definitely be smart in the future. The midwife wrapped Lu Chen up tightly and handed him over to a middle-aged man. When the man saw Lu Chen, he laughed so hard that his beard trembled. Atai, hold the baby. I'll go check on Madam. The man didn't forget about his wife who had just given birth. He handed the baby to his trusted subordinate, Atai. This name made Lu Chen feel even more familiar. This was because when he was at the 5th layer of heaven, he had met a native called Atai. It was Atai who had given the Origin God medallion to Lu Chen. However, Atai's fate was very tragic. In the end, he was killed by one of the 7 gods, the Lion King. This Atai was obviously not the same Atai. The way he carried the baby was a little stiff. He was also big and burly and looked a little too valiant. However, the way he looked at Lu Chen now was like a man of steel with tenderness. "Young master, haha, why are you so ugly?" The midwife glanced at Atai. "What are you talking about? Children are all like this when they're just born. This child is already good-looking enough." Atai laughed. "Granny Li, what do you know? What's the use of a man being so good-looking? A man should aspire to achieve great things like master." No matter what the others' reactions were, Lu Chen still didn't know how to react. He now understood that he was a baby being carried here and there by a group of people. It wasn't as if someone would lift his blanket and check his body. In any case, he was powerless to resist. Since he couldn't resist, he could only accept it. So be it, I won't lose anything anyway. Speaking of which, could it be that he had entered the ancient realm? That seemed to be the only possibility. Who would have thought that he would finally encounter an ancient realm in the last year? In this world, he would grow up as a baby. Since he hadn't lost his memories, this meant that he could cultivate here for 100 years. At present, he still couldn't feel the density of spirit chi around him. Perhaps he was still too young. Right now, he couldn't even control his own hands and feet. How could he possibly enter a cultivation state? Ah, young master seems to be hungry. Quick, call the wet nurse over. Lu Chen's face darkened. Wet nurse? This. But he really was hungry. There was no lust, only appetite. Damn it, when would he be able to get past infancy? Lu Chen had a new name. He was also called Lu Chen. However, his father wasn't called Lu Yuan, but Lu Xian. His mother's name was Yueqin. Lu Chen originally didn't have any feelings for this pair of cheap parents. In the ancient realm, these memories were useless. The more he remembered them, the more likely it would have a negative effect on his Tao heart. However, Lu Chen didn't want to remember them. After a long time, his father's teachings, his mother's careful care, and his parents' love for him gradually made Lu Chen develop some feelings for them. It wasn't just his parents. Bodyguard Atai, wet nurse Madame Su, and everyone else in the Lu residence. After interacting with them day and night, Lu Chen couldn't help but remember them. In the blink of an eye, Lu Chen was already 5 or 6 years old. He had finally gotten past the babbling and toddling period of infancy. Now, he ran around the courtyard all day and did some strange things. For example, he chased butterflies or looked at flowers and birds curiously for a long time. I'm the great 16-star Savage King. How could I not see flowers and plants? Why do I have to do these things? Lu Chen didn't understand at all. However, his brain was filled with curiosity about the new things here, just like a normal child. Lu Chen thought of Guiyang's words. Your memories will indeed be retained, but every time you reincarnate, it's as if you've experienced a new life. Yes, if he wasn't interested in anything, he wouldn't be a 5 or 6-year-old child. On Lu Chen's 6th birthday, his father announced 2 important things. The first was that his mother was pregnant again. The second was that Lu Chen would participate in the Tianyuan continent's Spirit Meridian test in a month. Chener, I have to go on a long journey. You're already 6 years old. We Tianyuan people open our spirit meridians at the age of 6 and take the first spirit meridian test. In this month, your Uncle Atai will teach you the relevant knowledge. You have to learn more. Lu Chen asked. Father, I still can't sense spiritual energy. Lu Xian couldn't help but laugh. Of course you can't sense spiritual energy. You opened your spirit meridians at the age of 6. You can only really sense them after the age of 10. This test is mainly to test the level of your spirit meridians. You don't have to do anything. You just have to take the test. Lu Chen nodded blankly. It seemed that he could only start cultivating when he was 10 years old. That should be the time when his original body started cultivating. This was his only chance to enter the ancient realm. He had to seize this opportunity. Chapter 1342. Lu Chen had been in the Tianyuan continent for many years and had gained some understanding of the continent. The Tianyuan continent was a human world where martial arts were respected and the strong were respected. Their martial arts ranks were completely different from those of the 9 heavens. From low to high they were divided into spiritual knight, spiritual cultivator, spiritual master, spiritual supreme, spiritual king, spiritual emperor, spiritual immortal, spiritual deity, and heavenly spirit. Every rank was further divided into 9 stars. Regardless of whether it was using swords, spears, rods, talismans, weapons, or any other unorthodox skills, they were all divided according to this level. Of course, there were also alchemy, weapons, talismans, and other auxiliary skills that were divided into different levels. It was just that the number of people in these professions was extremely small and could be said to be as rare as phoenix feathers and unicorn horns. The rarer something is, the more valuable it is. There were only 3 countries in the Tianyuan continent: Tianwu, Tianxing, and Tianwei. The 3 countries were evenly matched in strength and were constantly at war, dividing the Tianyuan continent into 3. Lu Chen never thought that he would be reincarnated into such a big family. The Lu family was one of the 3 big families in Tianwu country's border city, Tianzi City. The old man of the Lu family was the right-hand man of Tianzi City's mayor, Yan Bei. He was quite strong and had already reached the level of a 2-star spiritual paragon. Lu Xian was the second son in the family and his position was lower than his eldest brother Lu Xian and third brother Lu Wu. However, under the old man's teachings, the Lu family was not allowed to have any internal strife. The 3 brothers had gone through life and death together many times and were very close to each other. The Lu family did not have any internal strife like the other big families, and the atmosphere was very harmonious. Under such a relaxed environment, Lu Chen's childhood was also very carefree. Although the family was very harmonious, the continent still respected martial arts. Therefore, Lu Chen's spiritual pulse test was very important. Cherner, your father is out on business and won't be able to make it in time for your test. Atai pulled the little Lu Chen to the training ground in the backyard. Atai squatted down and rubbed Lu Chen's head, but you can't be careless. When the time comes, all the big clans in Natural Selection City will come to watch. There will also be a few brats from other clans taking the test with you. If your results are outstanding, you might even be able to swindle a concubine back. Lu Chen was shocked. Even if he didn't count the time he spent cultivating in space-time, he was already 40 years old, and he was still single. Could it be that, in the ancient realm, he'd be able to find a girlfriend at the age of 6? Atai smirked. Hee, are you tempted? Let me think, among the little girls around your age, Sikong clan Sikong Yen, Su clan's Su Ling, at such a young age, they are all full of life and are definitely beauties. Lu Chen frowned slightly. Uncle Tai, why are you staring at the little girl all day long? Don't you know that it takes 3 years? What 3 years? You little brat, what are you talking about? Don't I have to keep an eye out for you? Tai glared at Lu Chen. Since young, I've always said that you matured early. Sure enough, I wasn't wrong at all. Uncle Tai, weren't you the one who started this topic? I'm only going to test my spiritual pulse, not to find a wife. Weren't you the one who told me to swindle a concubine back? Didn't I tell you to be prepared? Lu Chen looked at Tai's flustered appearance and couldn't help but snicker. Uncle Tai, why did you ask me to come to the martial arts field? Lu Chun stopped teasing Ah Tai and finally returned to the topic at hand. Finally skipping over the previous topic, Ah Tai heaved a sigh of relief and became serious again. In the past, you were still young, so Master didn't let you come into contact with knowledge related to spiritual energy. But now that you're 6 years old, it's time for you to learn some basic knowledge. Moreover, although your spiritual pulse hasn't opened before the spiritual pulse test, there are already some signs. Ah Tai seemed to have transformed into Lu Chen's first teacher. Today, I'll teach you some basic knowledge. You have to pay attention. Lu Chen nodded. The spiritual pulse test is about to begin, so let's start with the spiritual pulse. The so-called spiritual pulse is the spiritual energy channel formed in the body after absorbing the essence of heaven, earth, sun, and moon. It's the most important condition in future battles. We can't absorb primitive spiritual energy directly. But after tens of thousands of years, spiritual energy blends with everything, such as mountains, rivers, hurricanes, flames. Spiritual energy exists in different forms and flows through different channels. The spiritual pulse of martial artists is affected by nature and will exist in different forms. Why do we have to form the spiritual pulse first? Because with the spiritual pulse, when you absorb spiritual energy in the future, the spiritual energy will have a channel and then form the spiritual nucleus. There are thousands of spiritual pulse attributes. Even if the attributes are the same, there are different levels of strength. For example, let Uncle Tai show you. As he spoke, Ah Tai took out a transparent pearl. This is the heavenly essence pearl. When the time comes for the test, you'll use the heavenly essence pearl. Ah Tai placed his hand on the pearl. 4 thin yellow threads quickly gushed out from the bottom of the pearl and flowed into Ah Tai's palm. However, due to the confinement of the pearl, the yellow threads were still trapped in the pearl. Uncle Tai, what does this mean? Lu Chen asked. The heavenly essence pearl contains chaotic spiritual energy. It's the spiritual energy when the world was first formed. It contains all elements and can also transform into all elements. The spiritual energy is like a water stain. If you draw a channel beside the water stain, will the water stain flow along the channel? This is also the function of our spiritual pulse. My spiritual pulse is a 4-star Earth spiritual pulse. After the chaotic spiritual energy sensed my spiritual pulse, part of it condensed into Earth elemental spiritual energy. These 4 thin threads of spiritual energy want to flow along the spiritual pulse. However, they are trapped in the heavenly essence pearl and can't be absorbed by me. Lu Chen suddenly understood. Those thin threads were the spiritual threads that he saw when he observed the spiritual pulse. Come, Chen. Although your spiritual pulse will only fully open in a month, there are some signs now. Let me see what attribute your spiritual pulse has. Lu Chen followed Ah Tai's request and placed his hand gently on the heavenly essence pearl. 1 second, no reaction. 2 seconds, no reaction. 30 seconds, the heavenly essence pearl did not move at all. Lu Chen looked up and saw Ah Tai's eyebrows knitted together. Uncle Tai, is it because my spiritual pulse has no elemental attribute? Ah Tai was in a daze. After being awakened by Lu Chen, he stammered. How is that possible? Ha, I was too impatient. It's still too early to test you now. Well, Chen, let's call it a day. Don't bite off more than you can chew. I'll leave the heavenly essence pearl here. Go play with it first. Lu Chen did not know what was so fun about him, but he happily ran off. He still could not get rid of his childish nature. After Lu Chen left, Ah Tai fell into deep thought again. After the age of 6, the spiritual pulse could not be accurately measured, but it definitely existed. Even if the spiritual pulse had not formed, as long as it could affect the chaotic spiritual energy, then the elemental attribute could definitely be measured. In fact, many people could measure the elemental attribute before the age of 6. But Chern did not have any elemental attribute at all? At this moment, a thought lingered in his mind. Born with a crippled spiritual pulse. No, it's impossible. Chern has been smart since he was young, far surpassing ordinary people. He can't. What am I thinking? Tai picked up the heavenly essence pearl with a heavy heart. When he picked up the pearl, he suddenly realized that there was something wrong with it. The entire pearl was vibrating. This is... Tai stood there in shock. Chapter 1343. Before Tai could react, the heavenly essence orb in his hand exploded. An earth shield appeared in front of Tai, blocking the shrapnel. This level of damage naturally couldn't hurt Tai, but Tai's mind was in a mess. The heavenly essence orb didn't show any elemental spiritual threads. Why did it explode? Tai couldn't understand. Could it be that the heavenly essence orb's lifespan is up? Looking at Lu Chern playing with his cousins, Tai's heart was filled with suspicion. 1 month later, today was the big day for Lu Chen's spiritual pulse test. Everyone in the Lu residence was busy, as all the major families in Heaven Choice City came to visit. There were many guests today, and as his mother was pregnant, she didn't help to receive the guests, only sitting in the audience area. Chern, do you want a younger brother or a younger sister? Mother Yueqin looked at Lu Chen with a smile, her eyes full of love. Mother, I hope it's a younger sister, Lu Chen said. Yueqin smiled like a flower. You also like younger sisters? But if it's really a younger sister, you will love her, dote on her, love her, and be a good brother. Mother, is it really a younger sister? That's great. Chern will definitely dote on a younger sister. Yueqin stroked Lu Chen's head and hugged him. Chern is so obedient, your father and I only hope that our family will be safe and tidy in the future. Everything else is not important. At this moment, Lu Chen's eyes were moist. Safe and tidy in the future, wasn't this what he wanted the most? Luckily, he didn't have such a life in the real world, but here, he had such a beautiful family. Lu Chen. The test is about to start. An 11 or 12-year-old boy ran over and bowed to Yueqin. Hello, second aunt. Yueqin smiled. Oh, it's Guir. Chern go, Guir will bring you to the testing area. Remember to be more friendly to the other children, after all, we are the main family. Yes, Chern understands. Lu Chen skipped and followed Lu Gui to the testing area. Brother, what were your results at that time? Lu Chen asked curiously. Lu Gui was much older than Lu Chen and had already been tested. Me? Humph, your brother's results are incredible. 5-star fire veins. Let me tell you, I took the test at the Sikong family, and many people were shocked by my results. Are you bragging? Lu Gui smiled and looked at Lu Chen. Little brat, why do I feel that every time I talk to you, it's like I'm talking to an adult? Tell me, can you be more like a 6-year-old brat? What am I bragging about? It's true. Lu Gui said, didn't the Sikong clan's martial uncle get engaged to my father? If my grades were bad, would they have taken a liking to me? Lu Chen nodded. Lu Gui flicked Lu Chen's forehead. Alright, don't think so much. Even if your results are ugly, it's not up to us to decide. You just focus on the test. The preparation area is right in front. I can't go in, so you go in by yourself. Hey, don't fight with other kids, okay? Lu Gui was really like an older brother, not forgetting to remind Lu Chen. Got it, brother. Lu Chen skipped and ran towards the preparation area. There were already 7 or 8 kids of similar age inside. 4 or 5 boys were chattering and playing around at the side, taking up most of the space. The 2 girls sat quietly at the side. Lu Chen looked around and sat alone at the side. When the 2 girls saw Lu Chen, they looked at each other and walked over together. Hey, you must be Lu Chen. Yes, I am. Lu Chen looked at the 2 fierce little people in front of him with a dumbfounded expression. Let me tell you, don't even think about marrying us. Ling and I will never marry you. That's right. We want to love freely. Just like my sister, we will find someone we like and marry. We will definitely not allow our parents to arrange it. My sister said that a marriage arranged by parents is not a happy one. That's right, don't be a toad that wants to eat swan meat. We don't like you. Lu Chen looked at the two of them in shock. Could these two have also transmigrated? Why were they so mature? I really don't have any thoughts about you. I am just here to take the test. After the test, I will leave. Lu Chen was also afraid of these two little girls. The adults outside were done with their work, so the test could finally begin. The 8 kids lined up in a line and entered the testing area from the preparation area. The so-called testing area was the temporary modification of the Lu residence's martial arts field. At this time, there was a huge heavenly essence orb placed in the middle of the field. It was even bigger than Lu Chen. It was probably not on the same level as Uncle Tai's. The Lu family worshipped the heavens and gave speeches. After a long delay, the official test finally began. Lu Yuan, 3 stars water vein. A cheer came from a corner of the administrative area. It seemed that the Lu family was very satisfied with this result. Pu Chang, 2 stars lightning vein. 2 stars might not be very outstanding, but lightning veins are rare. Not bad, not bad. Gu Feng, 1 star fire vein. The Gu family was a little embarrassed. 1 star was already the worst spiritual vein. There was nothing special about a fire vein. It seemed that this child's future would not be too good. The highest score of the previous few children was only 4 stars spiritual veins. Compared to the previous batches, there was nothing special. Next, Su family's Su Ling. Su Ling 6 stars fire vein, 7 stars wood vein. When the results of Su Ling test came out, the crowd exploded. Dual spiritual veins, and it's actually fire and wood dual spiritual veins. And the dual spiritual veins are so high level. The Su family is going to produce an alchemist. An alchemist must have wood and fire dual spiritual veins, and must be higher than 5 stars. This requirement is already 1 in a million, and Ling actually met it. The Su family is so lucky to have such a good seedling that only appears once in 100 years. I've watched so many tests, and this is the first time I've seen an alchemist with my own eyes. However, before the first wave subsided, another wave arose. Si Kongyan, 8 stars metal spiritual vein, 7 stars water spiritual vein. Frost silk again, and an 8 stars spiritual vein. Oh my god, this child from the Si Kongyan family is going to defy the heavens. This is incredible. This girl's future is limitless. The Si Kongyan family is probably going to use all their assets to nurture this child. At this moment, the Lu family was starting to get nervous. Old Master Lu stood up involuntarily. Everyone else also looked at the only child on the stage. Next, Lu Chen from the Lu family. Lu Chen walked to the heavenly essence orb. He saw so many concerned gazes. Grandfather, mother, Mother Su, Uncle Tai, first uncle, third uncle, his cousins. He had gone through many tests, but this was the first time so many family members were watching him. At this moment, Lu Chen was in a trance for a moment. Was this the feeling of having a family? It was as if even if the sky fell, he wouldn't feel afraid. He wasn't reincarnated into a family full of scheming, but into such a harmonious family. This feeling was really good. Why is Chen crying? Yueqin looked at Lu Chen worriedly. Chen no matter what the test results are, it doesn't matter. Chen do your best. Great God, Ah Tai shouted. Old Master said to be at ease and do the test boldly. Lu Chen, don't be afraid. Just do the test. Your brother will protect you in the future. Lu Gui shouted at Lu Chen while gesticulating with joy. Lu Chen nodded emotionally. This was a family, a complete family, a family that he had never had. Taking a deep breath, Lu Chun placed his hand on the heavenly essence orb. Chapter 1344. When Lu Chun placed his hand on the heavenly essence pearl, the crowd quieted down. 1 second, 2 seconds, 10 seconds. No spiritual threads were produced from the heavenly essence pearl. Some of the spectators were already whispering, "Could he be born with a crippled meridian? That's impossible. The probability of having a crippled meridian is about the same as having a 9-star spiritual meridian. Both are extremely rare." However, before they could finish their words, the crystal ball, which was about the size of Lu Chun, started to vibrate. To be precise, the heavenly essence pearl had been vibrating since the beginning. However, the vibration was very small. Now, it was vibrating at a rate visible to the naked eye. What's going on? Why is the heavenly essence pearl vibrating? Could it be that kid's doing? But he's so young. He can't even move the heavenly essence pearl, let alone cause such a strange vibration. Atai suddenly thought of something and shouted angrily, "Chun, get out of the way!" After that, he shot towards the center of the arena like an arrow. Lu Chun quickly ran back. Atai immediately stood in front of Lu Chun and summoned 4 earth shield. Atai had just set up his defense when a loud bang sounded. The heavenly essence pearl had exploded. Everyone in the entire viewing area was dumbfounded. What's going on? Who can tell me what's going on? Even a few 9-star spiritual meridians can't break the heavenly essence pearl. This is the best heavenly essence pearl. This dragon-grade heavenly essence pearl was just sent here. It can't have been used for too long. Why did it explode? What's the grade of Lu Chun's spiritual meridians? Su Ling and Si Kongyan held each other's hands and were equally shocked. They had never heard of anyone who could break the heavenly essence pearl. It's the chaos spiritual meridians. Suddenly, someone spoke. Only the chaos spiritual meridians can prevent the heavenly essence pearl from producing any spiritual thread. That's because the chaos spiritual meridians attract all the spiritual energy in the heavenly essence pearl. Only under such circumstances would the heavenly essence pearl explode from the inside. That Lu Chun actually has the chaos spiritual meridians that can't be found in 10,000 years. After Yueqin heard that, she felt the world was spinning and she fainted. Lu Chun hadn't gone out to play for the past 2 days. He had been locked in his room. Lu Chun was bored as he stayed in his room. In fact, he did not know that he had a chaos spiritual vein. After all, Uncle Tai had never mentioned this kind of spiritual vein to him. Moreover, the heavenly Yuan pearl could detect it. Most importantly, Lu Chun had no idea what the chaos spiritual vein meant, and why his family had placed him under house arrest after the chaos spiritual vein was detected. At night, the paper window was secretly poked open and a figure crawled in. Lu Chun. Lu Gui looked up at Lu Chun. "Give me a hand, it's stuck." Lu Chun was speechless. He went over to help pull Lu Gui in. "Bro, you've already started cultivating. How could you get stuck climbing through a window?" "I'm just afraid of being seen. Hey, I went to see second aunt. She's fine." Hearing that his mother was fine, Lu Chun let out a long sigh of relief, but soon his face was full of worry. "Hey brother, why did they lock me up? What did I do wrong?" Lu Gui shook his head. "Third bro, do you know what the chaos spiritual vein means?" "Why would I ask you if I knew?" "The chaos spiritual vein means..." Lu Gui was about to say something, but he couldn't say it. "Say it," Lu Chun said anxiously. "Don't tell anyone else that I told you." "Of course, why would I betray you? Hey, I watched you grow up. I even changed your diapers. I know you won't betray me, but I..." Lu Gui stammered. His face was full of worry that did not match his age. "If you don't say it, I'll scream," Lu Chun said weakly. "I'll say that you want to take me away." "Hey, don't scream. I just said that you won't betray me. Lu Gui covered Lu Chen's mouth. I'll say it. Third bro, actually. The Lu family is united and rarely fights. You're still young, so you don't know how scary the outside world is. Not only do you have a chaos spiritual vein, but you also have a 9-star chaos spiritual vein. You have to know that this is the best spiritual vein. Lu Chen was not surprised. So, if that's the case, then all the more they shouldn't lock me up. Because. Lu Gui gritted his teeth. Because you can snatch a spiritual vein. Ah. Lu Gui leaned over and whispered, not only can you snatch it, but you can also transplant it. Uncle Tai told you before, right? A spiritual vein is like a riverbed or a valley. Before the spirit core is formed, the riverbed or valley can be changed to become a torrent or a mountain breeze. Your spiritual vein is 1 in a million. Now that you haven't formed a spirit core, it's the best time to move to a spiritual vein. There was no need for Lu Gui to continue. Lu Chen was able to reach the 7th heavenly layer, so how could he not understand these principles? In short, the crime of possessing a jade ring. Looking at Lu Chen in deep thought, Lu Gui blamed himself for telling him such cruel news. AI, don't worry. Grandfather has already talked to all the guests to keep the secret. Second uncle is also rushing back home from 800 kilometers away. Lu Chen sighed. It seemed like he had caused a huge trouble. If he had known earlier, he wouldn't have gone for the test. After so many years, he didn't have a single surviving test stone. He should have expected this. The Lu family had a certain amount of power in the Heaven Choice City, but in the Tianyuan continent, it wasn't worth mentioning. Yet, he had the best spiritual vein in the entire Tianyuan continent. Even if grandfather wanted to seal the guests' mouths, there were so many people. Blinded by greed, the news would definitely leak out. Brother, if my spiritual vein was snatched away, what would happen to me? Lu Gui was stunned for a moment. This younger brother of his seemed normal at times, but at other times, he displayed a mentality that didn't match his peers. Brother, just tell me, I'm not that weak. Lu Chen saw through Lu Gui's thoughts and said. Lu Gui sighed, there's a high chance you'll die. Lu Chen sucked in a breath of air. If he died, his body wouldn't be damaged, but this time in the ancient realm would be over. Moreover, even now, Lu Chen was reluctant to leave his parents and family. Lu Chen, everyone in the family is discussing countermeasures. Now, we're just waiting for your father. Just stay here obediently. If you want anything, I'll steal. No, take it for you. Lu Gui patted Lu Chen's shoulder. Lu Chen looked at Lu Gui and smiled. It's good to have a brother like you. Idiot, you're talking nonsense again. We're brothers, why are you saying these things? Lu Chen nodded heavily. Now, he could only wait for the family's decision. 2 days later, late at night, Lu Chen, who was sleeping soundly, suddenly heard a commotion outside his door. He hurriedly got up and found that outside the door, flames were soaring into the sky. Everywhere, there were sounds of war and shouting mixed together. Suddenly, the door to his room was kicked open. A man covered in blood stood at the door with a saber in his hand. Chinner, father. Lu Chen looked at the man in horror. Come with me quickly. Chapter 1345. Father. Lu Chen said anxiously, what happened? It's the Dongfang family from the imperial capital. There's no time to explain, let's go. Lu Xian pulled Lu Chen and rushed out of the door. Suddenly, a spiritual sword energy shot from outside the courtyard. Lu Xian tried to block the attack with his Zamadeo. However, the sword energy was too strong. The moment Lu Xian's Zamadeo came into contact with the sword energy, he was sent flying and broke through the wall of Lu Chen's room. Lu Xian protected Lu Chen with all his might, his breathing rapid. Yes, Spirit King. The old man of the Lu family was only a 2-star spirit venerable, but this person was actually a spirit king. It was no exaggeration to say that he alone was enough to flatten the Lu family. Father. Lu Chen looked at the ghastly wound on Lu Xian's shoulder, regretting that he didn't have an immortal body pill. Chunner. Before the enemy came, Lu Xian grabbed Lu Chen's shoulder and said anxiously, "Listen to me, this time our Lu family won't be able to escape. Father, they want the spirit vein, I can give it to them." "Silly child, you're too naive. Do you think they'll let us go if you give them the spirit vein? They won't let anyone go." "What about Mother? She's pregnant with my sister. I'll let your mother go out and lie low for a while, but the others?" "Chunner, don't worry about them. Listen to me, that person didn't seem to have noticed you just now. I'll fight with my life to block that person, you find a way to escape. I know you're usually alert, you can definitely do it, right?" "Father, I. Chunner, answer me." His father, who was always kind, shouted angrily, his blood-red eyes staring at Lu Chen. Lu Chen couldn't bear it. He gritted his teeth and said, "Father, I will definitely live on." "Good, keep this dagger for yourself." Lu Xian stroked Lu Chen's hair, his heart aching. He forced a smile. "My Chunner is already so big. It's a pity that I can't watch you get married and have children. Look for your grandfather and find your mother. From now on, I'll leave them to you." After saying that, Lu Xian stuffed a dagger into Lu Chen's hand, turned his head, and crashed through the wall. Lu Chen hid in the dark, suppressing his grief. Around the corner in the distance, a middle-aged man in a white robe walked out with an indifferent expression. There was a picture of a golden dragon on his chest. "Lu Xian, I stabbed your father 200 times, but your father refused to tell me the whereabouts of that brat. You really have some backbone. And those brothers of yours, I really don't understand. That Lu Xian is not even his own son, yet he would rather die than reveal Lu Chen's whereabouts. Ha, you three brothers are really of one mind." Lu Xian bellowed furiously. "Dongfang clan, my Lu clan has no grudge with you. How dare you kill my father and brother? You guys are insane. Deranged?" That person twirled the sword in his hand and walked leisurely into the courtyard. "Lu Xian, you're not young anymore. How can you still be so naive? The Chaos Spirit Vein isn't something that your Lu clan has the right to possess. So, hand over Lu Chen and I'll spare your lives. Dream on." Lu Xian bellowed furiously as he charged forward with his saber. Lu Chen's feet felt as though they were filled with lead. He couldn't move at all. However, there was a voice that repeatedly warned Lu Chen to protect his mother. In just 2 moves, 2 more wounds appeared on Lu Xian's body. "Father." Lu Chen's eyes were about to pop out of their sockets. Suppressing his grief, he turned around and quietly jumped out of the window. Even though Lu Chen's movements were nimble, he didn't have the slightest bit of cultivation at the moment. Furthermore, his body was only 6 years old. In his panic, he was still seen by a white-robed man. That person frowned as he looked at Lu Chen. He narrowed his eyes slightly. A 6-year-old boy, the Lu clan seemed to only have one. "Lu Chen. Ha 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 ha, this is my chance to soar. Come, little brat, stop running. I'll bring you to a safe place." At this moment, a figure suddenly charged out from the darkness and blocked in front of Lu Chen. "Brother," the other party's reaction was fast. Seeing someone charging out, he immediately stabbed his sword. Lu Gue was only a 12-year-old boy. He had only cultivated for 2 years and his strength was only at the level of a spiritual knight. Even though the white-robed man's level wasn't high, there was no doubt that Lu Gue was no match for him. However, what the other party didn't expect was that Lu Gue didn't even dodge. He directly used his body to block the sword. Not only that, after being stabbed, he didn't hesitate to let the sword pierce through his body. He pounced on that person and used 2 daggers to stab that person's temple. "You little brat. So ruthless." That person was actually killed by Lu Gui just like that. Lu Chen cried as he dragged Lu Gui to the corner of the wall. He used his small hands to block Lu Gui's wound. Brother, Lu Gui panted heavily and looked weakly at Lu Chen. Lu Chen, don't cry. The men of the Lu clan won't cry in front of the enemy. Brother, you will be fine. I will think of a way to save you. I have a way. I should have a way. Little Green. Lu Chen cried as he called out this name. It was a pity that Little Green, who used to be the first to appear, couldn't appear now. Look at you, you are talking nonsense again. What Little Green? I am still a little flower. Lu Gui forced a smile. Third brother, your life is more precious than mine. You have a 9-star chaos spiritual vein. I am at most an immortal reverent. But you have unlimited possibilities. So, I want to ask you for a favor. Brother, you say, cultivate well. No matter how hard or tiring it is, don't give up. Until one day, when you are strong enough, help grandfather, help father, my mother. Lu Gui was already crying bitterly. Help the Lu clan, take revenge. Promise me. Otherwise, I will not die in peace. Brother, I promise you. Lu Chen's tears fell like rain as he hugged Lu Gui tightly. Ah, that's great. Ha ha ha, third brother, I can't steal food for you anymore. Why is it a little cold? Third brother, don't worry about me, run. No matter how hard Lu Chen tried to endure, he couldn't help but cry at this time. His originally happy life, just like that, suddenly, turned into ashes. Brother, I swear, I will make the Dongfang clan pay you back 1,000 times, 10,000 times. Lu Chen's eyes were round with tears. He took off his clothes and covered Lu Gui's body. He turned his head and quickly dived into the darkness. The night wind blew, bone-chilling cold. Lu Chen told himself again and again that this wasn't his world, that he didn't belong here in the first place. The reincarnation of the ancient realm would be the most thorough subversion of one's Tao heart. He could even directly commit suicide and leave this world. However, this kind of comfort didn't make him feel any better. He indeed didn't belong here, but all these years, his grandfather, father, uncles, Mother Su, Uncle Tai, and Lu Gui had cared for him, made him clearly feel that this was also his home. He also belonged here. His father risked his life to help him escape, and brother Lu Gui sacrificed his life to save him. The flames of the Lu clan were like the flames of anger in Lu Chen's heart, burning fiercely and more fiercely. There were still pursuers behind him, so Lu Chen quickened his step. A black shadow swept past quickly and directly hugged Lu Chen, hiding in the forest by the road. Lu Chen looked up and saw that this person was Uncle Tai. Shoo, don't make a sound. Uncle Tai's blood-red eyes widened. Because he was too nervous, even the strength in his hands increased. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.